Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the show. Happy hangover for everybody who was out there celebrating the 4th of July, as to not let the death cult that is the Republican Party hijack and steal every single aspect of what this country was founded on, the belief systems and everything else as far as the flag, the word patriot, and the whole list of things that we could run down. So to everybody that was out there celebrating, to everybody that's feeling the hangover, like myself today, welcome to the show. Much appreciated. Hit that like button on the way in. Like I said, it's Sunday, July 5th. We're going to go through a little bit of the debacle of the celebrations yesterday, whether it was, weather, which we saw down here in Boston as well, whether it was Trump's speech, basically where, I don't know, I think he got paid every time he said communism. I think that's going to be his new theme song for the rest of days now, as far as until his heart stops beating. He's going to continue to try to say Red Scare and communism as much as he possibly can. And then the Timu Nazis, obviously everybody saw, I'm sure. If you didn't, Patriot Front was out and about in downtown Washington, D yesterday, again on the, celebration of the 250th anniversary of this country, also being July 4th. To see that take place really pissed a lot of people off. But we also had counter protest. We also had veterans marches in Philly, which we'll get to. So let's just run down a little bit. Well, before we do that, what do you say we say hi to the chat? Like I said, you guys are the most important piece of this show. You guys continue to make this thing happen, and I can't thank you enough. I cannot tell you how grateful I am for you guys in this community. First and foremost, the mods. I continue to say that I've been blessed with the best mods since the beginning, since the onset of starting this live stream, podcast, whatever you want to call it, and I continue to be very fortunate to have the best mods in there, keeping that chat a safe place. Right behind that is obviously the best community that has been built here on social media, which is the Bryantologist, the blunt politics community here. Can't thank you guys enough. So what's going on, people? How are you? What's going on, Frank? What's up, Julie? What's happening, Wes? What's going on, Jackie? What's up, 9 Inch? How are you? Appreciate you. What's going on, Tracy? I see you over there on Facebook. Hi, moms. How are you? Salute to you. What's going on, Julie, Vasantha? Ian, how are you on Facebook? Thank you again, Facebook. Obviously, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, Substack, everybody, no matter where you're watching, if you could hit that like button, if it's a thumbs up, if it's a share, if it's, whatever you want to do to make it so that the algorithm, we can fight through the algorithm. Again, a lot of these things that we talk about, not really too really boosted in the algorithm, let's just say. So it's only with your help that we can try to get around that. But I do appreciate you guys. What's going on? Just saying, how are you? Good to see you. What's up, Laurie? Lee Ron, how are you? Oh, Deb, thank you so much, guys. Starting it off in the right direction. You guys, just like Deb, can gift out memberships in that chat. You can sign up yourself for a membership just underneath me, somewhere in this general vicinity down here where I'm pointing. It's down there. Believe me, it's down there somewhere. But like I said, just like Deb, who is fantastic and just gifted another fantastic member of this chat a Boston Brian membership for a month, you can do the same thing. So thank you so much to Deb. Thank you so much to Bry Guy starting it off today. Happy Sunday, Slava Ukraine. Fuck Trump. And I definitely second all of that sentiment. So much appreciated to you guys getting this going. You too can utilize the Venmo. You too can utilize the super chats or, the super stickers in the chat, just like Bry did here, trying to keep this show going. We're an independent channel. We don't charge for, any of the content that we create. Nothing's hidden behind a paywall. We don't have members only chats. I don't sell you any green juice. There's no financial backers. None of that stuff happens here. It's only with your, your financial contributions to this channel that we're able to continue doing this. Just period, point blank, plain and simple. I hate it that it's like that. But again, that is the game that we have to play. So now that the housekeeping show stuff is out of the way, what do you say we get into, again, the thank yous that need to be given out here today, once again, for getting us to another huge milestone in our Summer of Drones campaign with Help 99 and the NAFO 69 Sniffer Brigade. Again, it is an honor and a pleasure to be a part of this movement. Wayno, what's going on, brother? Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much. Wayno in the chat just gifted 20 Boston Brian memberships to 20 fantastic people in the chat. I mean, that's just amazing. Thank you so much to Wayne. Thank you so much to Deb. Thank you so much to Bry and everybody else that utilizes, whatever way you want to support this channel. Again, you can do it through Venmo. Obviously, the chat, like you've been seeing here, you can head to patreon.com. 3 great tiers on patreon.com. The memberships and Patreon, typically seen as like the backbone of the community here, the things that, really keep us running, the OGs really take part in. Obviously, there's the merch shop over there at bostonbrian.com. There's a whole link there for Blunt Politics merch. Again, it doesn't have to necessarily say anything about the show or the channel or my name or anything like that. A lot of great resistance, opposition, human rights. We got mugs, hats, everything that you could possibly think of over there. So everybody that's been, taking advantage of that, and the discounts available on patreon.com. Again, much love. Thank you so much for keeping this channel running. Thank you to people like Wayne for making sure that, we can consistently do this. So much appreciated. And that all goes to help not only with our campaign here that we've been doing, now at 18,924 euro, 92% of the way there. So I think that's what, $21,400-ish US dollars. Again, in less than 3 weeks. I only have a couple more hours before I have to stop saying that. But again, I continue to be impressed with the way that you guys are able to contribute to this. A huge shout out to Nance in the chat. Who again tried to single-handedly take this upon on her back. Again, she made another huge and substantial contribution here, as did so many others. So Mandy, Forrest, thank you so much. Where you seeing Brian here? This is from Nancy. It says from Nancy to the brave men and women of the Ukrainian armed forces. And look at the incredible donation that she's responsible for. Frank, thank you so much to James. Thank you so much to Roxanne, Petra, Thomas. Thomas says, every 15th of a month, I am stubborn and keep coming back until the evil is defeated. Dear Ukrainians, you can be proud. It is incredible what you have endured and keep enduring. Excuse me, I don't know why, a little choky. This is true resilience of a country which I deeply admire, which I am grateful for. Long-range sanctions do this year what our European leaders were not willing to risk. So many opportunities have been missed. Now you take it into your hands and will forever be in your debt. Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava, with love from Germany. Stay safe, he said. So much appreciated, Thomas. Obviously, the anonymous people in there who want to stay anonymous, thank you to you guys as well. Tiff, Edmund, Gregory, Steve, Jeffrey, Magda, Susie, Margot, Kay, Anthony, Michael, Brenda, Kenneth. I mean, the list is pretty much endless at this point, with 150 separate donations, again, totaling somewhere in the vicinity of $21,500, or again, 18,924 euro. Heading to our goal, final goal, 20,500 euro. Again, 8% of the way to go. And like I said, because we're going to be doing everything we possibly can and already making this happen to go over there and hand this vehicle over ourselves, putting our money where our mouth is as far as the channel. I don't know. I know there's people out there and creators out there that have done so, but I don't know how many, as far as, percentage-wise of how many people are speaking about this or doing politics in general, are willing to step up and not only be a part of these fundraisers and campaigns, but to get over there and in person show these people that you're not afraid, and that you're going to stand by them no matter what the fuck happens, and that you are willing to get out from underneath the desk or in front of the camera or the microphone or whatever the fuck it may be, to like I said, put your money where your mouth is, so to speak. So I want to thank you guys for putting your money where your mouth is and helping us to get this Summer of Drones campaign to 92% already, which is absolutely incredible. So much appreciated. Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava. Thank you so much to everybody thank you, Slacks in the chat, you hummer. I appreciate you, brother. Love to you, brother. I hope you and all my fellow Bryantologists had a very happy, healthy, and safe 4th of July celebration. Love to all. Much appreciated, Slacks. Thank you so much for the $10 contribution. And then thank you so much, Laurie, as well. Thank you for being a member for 15 months. Your emotions are why I love listening to you. Don't get me going, Laurie. Come on. But yeah, it's cool to see. It really is. So, fuck. I was good till you said that. I was good till you said that. All right, so thank you guys so much for being a part of that. Thank you so much to everybody gifting in the chat. I will get my shit together. I do promise you. It's probably just a lot of the 4th of July alcohol still talking. That's my excuse. That's my excuse, and I'm going with it. All right. What do you say we take a look at everything that was happening pertaining to this 4th of July disastrous celebration? The Timu Nazis that were out and about trying to do their thing. Everything that went along with it, the weather, Donald Trump's speech. We're just going to go through it, pretty methodically as to, everything that was reported. Obviously, the clips and the sound bites that were coming out of that. Oh, God, thank you so much, Wes. Much appreciated. 2222. That's like Wes's calling card. He's got to do like the same thing of both dollar and cent amounts, or else it like throws him off. It's like the people that got to touch the knob, I think, 3 times and then turn it twice to the left and then turn it twice to the right before they open the door. That's what I'm gathering. But Wes says, what the heck? Europe doesn't seem to be all that worried about Putin. How much longer can he live? I feel the same about dirty Don Dickey. Grifted billions. He won't be able to enjoy them. I think you're right. Europe does not seem to be all that worried about Putin, as we've seen and said consistently on this show, where countries are just not stepping up the way that they should, the way that they need to be doing right now. Typically, you fight a war to win a war, not to prolong the war, and not to just say, hey, look, we're sending over things. Let's give myself a pat on the back type of thing. So I'm right there with you, Wes. And I think I have like I said, I have so much pulled up on today's show. It's honestly tough for me to remember, but I think there's some footage of Vladimir Putin with either Gerasimov or Shoigu in some bunker, and he doesn't look well. So to further your point there, how much longer can he live? That's a question that seems to be more frequently being asked, as far as not only the pressure that Vladimir Putin is seeing being placed upon him right now, but also the health complications that have long been rumored, and just the way he's changed physically in appearance in general. So, Wes, we'll probably hopefully get you an answer to that question a little bit later in the show. So, all right, let's get into the Timu Nazis. That's not it, but this is these are, and this was posted by Patriot Takes, around 400 white nationalist Patriot Front members are marching in D.C. today, obviously reported yesterday, with Confederate flags, etc. A streamer with the group described it as total Aryan victory. And again, these fucking people are calling them Nazis, and it's almost an affront to Nazis to call these people Nazis. Like, to have studied World War II, to have seen what the groups like the SS and the SA and the Einsatzgruppen and many others just like it, the people that they had in their ranks, what they espoused, their just genocidal fucking policies and rhetoric that they would espouse nonstop. Their total and outright belief in what they were doing in a lot of the cases. It's just these people, like you said, they're Timu Nazis at best. Okay, these fucking khaki wearing, no girlfriend having, never had a lover, never had a partner, never had a parent that gave him any affection. Motherfuckers here waving the Confederate and American flags, talking about total Aryan victory. These people would have been the first lame ass, punk ass bitches beaten up by the Nazis, I can assure you, if they existed in the same time frame, in the same timeline as the actual Nazis did during World War II. Because these fucking soft ass, snowflake ass, punk ass bitch boys wouldn't fucking last 2 seconds in the group that they want to be a part of. Okay, it's so fucking ironic and hypocritical at the same time. But here's just a quick clip in case anybody didn't watch any of the news, was out and about with your friends and family yesterday, didn't see any of this nonsense. Like I said, we're just going to go through basically all of the coverage. This is a quick clip here, only about 40 seconds, of these morons, these absolute losers in 100-degree heat out there in fucking long sleeve shirts and in long, khakis. Fucking idiots, you know what I mean? And they were dropping too. I don't know if I have it pulled up, but they were dropping like flies, you know what I mean? They would get them some more. Fuck you. I told you, these are the people I wouldn't piss on if they were on fire and there was no water to be found on earth. Okay, you know what I mean? So to see them suffering in the heat because you chose to wear this uniform, you clowns. No, sorry, not getting any of my water. Nope. I wouldn't wring out my fucking sweat rag to give you a little bit of moisture. Not even a little bit. Nope. Sorry. Suffer in silence, you prick. All right. But like I said, it's just a quick clip of these morons congregating.
That lady looks like Mom. That lady looks just like Mom. Oh, yeah.
Just like at least get in fucking unison. You know what I mean? At least get on the same fucking wavelength, the same beat. Just get the same pants. You can. Did you buy Walmart? Did Target run out of the same color khaki pants? You know what I mean? I don't. It's just beyond the fucking pale at this point. It really is so embarrassing. Like, other countries looking at this on July 4th, the 250th celebration, what's supposed to be the celebration of this country, and this is the shit going on. Not that it's like it's the first time, obviously not the first time, but just army boots, long pants, and fucking long sleeve, really cotton, heavy wool, blue tops, in 100 degrees. Like, smart, real smart. You got that. You nailed it.
You're doing good, bud. You're doing good.
Yeah,
we got plenty of stuff.
How many viewers we got? We're up to 460 now.
Let's go.
It's incredible.
What's up, YouTube? You guys having fun? Happy 250, guys.
Happy 250. I know it's hard to see the screen. Can we get ones in the chat? If audio, video, all that's good, can we get ones? Is everybody doing okay? If we got 460.
Jesus fucking Christ almighty. Yeah. Well, can we get ones in the chats for the Nazis, please? Ones in the chats. Like, shut your bitch ass up, motherfucker. God damn it. Oh, it's so much. But again, there was a lot of these to be seen. And then you got Laura Ingraham here, which is, a post that a lot of people are talking about where she's again trying to say that this is Antifa in costume. Like, what? What are you trying to say here? So you recognize the ridiculousness of it. You recognize the ideology being espoused, but somehow you want to portray that as being like some, I don't know, coup, I guess, apparently set up by Antifa. It's ridiculous that they try to play this. But again, there's just more clips coming out from their, Timu Nazi congregation. And Laura Ingraham says, I call fake. Looks more like Antifa in costume. No one should be allowed to cover their faces. Right? Well, again, tell them to take the fucking mask off. We can settle this real quick. Okay? We can settle this real quick. All they got to do, pull the mask down, give us a good shot, and let the fucking internet do its thing. Okay? Because I can assure you, wouldn't take long from the time that their face was revealed to figure out just what side of history they want to stand on. Again, if this is Antifa people of the left, because you'd probably be able to pull up their social media feed, see what they've said in the past, their background, right? That would give you some insight, some information. But the masks, you know what I mean? That whole mask thing that they continue to hide behind and rely upon. Now, the commanderess Nazi-in-chief, Laura Ingraham herself, saying that this is Antifa. But, a lot of people were embarrassed by this, continue to be embarrassed by this and say that same thing every time this happens. Like to be such a fucking group, such a moronic group, such a stupid group at this point in time that even your own side, even your own Fox News propagandists don't want to claim you, should tell you everything that you need to know. Okay. It's crazy. But again, we've seen this. This was masked marches representing the white nationalist and fascist group Patriot Front arrive in Washington amid the celebrations. Part of the group was seen boarding the Eastern Market Metro stop, heading toward the National Mall, which is, you're going to get a kick out of this because as somebody posted, and I'll paraphrase, apparently if you want to stop white supremacists, if you want to stop fucking Timu Nazis, all you got to do is put like some sort of ticket system in place, because boy, oh boy, did they have a difficult time figuring out the ticket system to get onto the subway. But again, there's a few more of these posts that are marching in place. This was a pretty and continues to be a pretty powerful fucking picture from the day, right? So again, here is the members of the Patriot Front group ride the metro as the commuter looks on during the 250th anniversary of the U.S. independence in Washington, D.C., and obviously a lot of people pointing out the irony of the situation, or the symbolism of the situation of these white nationalists, these white supremacists crowding around and being surrounded, and surrounding this black woman here, just trying to get to and fro in her daily business here. But pretty powerful. And it's amazing that these white supremacists, that these Timu Nazis would allow somebody that they hate, rightly so, say that they don't want to be seen in this country with, sit in front of them, because she's in front of a lot of these fucking white supremacists and Nazis, right? Isn't that supposed to be like, disrespect, a sign of disrespect if you know anything about your history? I don't know. Clearly they're not as, set in their belief systems. Clearly this isn't as meaningful to them as they'd have you believe. They don't really care. It's about the clicks. You know what I mean? It's about getting on Donald Trump's Truth Social feed because he's going to repost this. But again, everybody, a lot of people calling this picture out here as being one of the more powerful pictures associated with the whole, Patriot Front being in DC. I think for very obvious reasons, as you can see here. But let's see what else was being reported. This was a large crowd moving through D.C. towards the White House with the Declaration of Independence banner chanting 8647. So it wasn't all Timu Nazis. It wasn't all kids that have never and will never be laid in their entire lives. So like I said, there was also, and we'll check out the Veterans March that was happening, I believe, in Philly. I think Jolly Good Ginger has a couple videos posted from that we'll take a look at as well. But let me see. I think there was I might have this pulled up separately. Oh, no, that's this one. So let's take a look at this real quick. This picture here, this video here of the large crowd moving through D.C. chanting 8647, which, of course, again, unless you're a fucking moron and only have one cell rattling around in your empty dome space of a head, means to remove Donald Trump, means to impeach, convict, and remove Donald Trump, and not anything that the Republicans would have you believe it would be associated with. So, like I said, just a quick 18-second clip here of them marching through the streets as well, just to show that there was many groups out there, not just these Patriot Front morons taking up the street. So here we go. Good stuff. So it might be tough to hear there with the drums and everything in the background, but they're chanting 8647, 8647. I think I may even have a couple more angles of this as well. But, you know, just to show you that the opposition was out in full force, that there were people rightly calling out Donald Trump and not just these morons here. But again, let's throw this on the screen because, like it was posted, you know, if you want to stop these fucking Timu white supremacists and these Nazis, apparently all you got to do is install like turnstiles or a ticket system. Because boy, oh boy, were they fucking having a tough time figuring this shit out. Okay, just embarrassing on top of embarrassing on top of embarrassing. You know, not to mention the fact that they all have like these sweaty ass stain rings around their fucking khakis from marching in the fucking 100-degree heat all day in their in their Timu Nazi uniforms. You know, but this is a 1-minute clip of them just struggling to operate the turnstile here. You can hear them being yelled at, screamed at by the commanders. They're getting blocked. The doors are closing. They got to keep doing it again. It's chaos. And it just, you know, they're trying to get the two brain cells that may be floating around in this space together to try to get this figured out, but they're not having a very easy time doing it. So here is, again, them showing their brilliance, them showing their IQ, and trying to figure out the subway turnstile, which, again, if you want to slow them down in a war, just install a bunch of these. You know, give you plenty of time to set up defenses, plenty of time to set up offensive strikes while they're trying to figure this shit out.
Just give it a minute and try again. Get out of line. Go back to the line. Give it a minute. Back to the line. Get another card from Tank. Right there. Here, who needs a card? Right there. Go.
No. Swipe it this way. No. Let it sit there longer. No. Wait. No. You go through that door. Hold on. Give him the card. Like, you fucking harebrained, absolute twat bag morons. Just the most incompetent group of fucking sissies I've ever seen in my life.
Who needs a card? Go through. There we go. Easy. Hold it down. Hold it all the way down.
Hold it all the way down. No, hold it longer. No, longer. No, shorter. Longer. I don't know. Who's this guy in the hat? Is he one of them, or is he just like, is he somebody that works there? You know what I mean? Because if I was him and I was wearing, I'd just be like, let him fend for them fucking selves. I ain't giving them instructions. But if he's like a leader of the group, he's not wearing a mask, so let's get his identity, apparently. You know what I mean? But this is, again, just embarrassing on top of embarrassing.
How are y'all doing?
He doesn't, I'll give, for what it's worth, he doesn't seem to be in the, well, he could be, right? Because they all wear different shit. So it's hard to say that he's not in the uniform, you know what I mean?
Right here. You know, my friends like blue shirts. I apologize for that.
Oh, he's got to be. He just said, me and all my friends like blue shirts. You hear that? I'm pretty sure that's what he just said. Hold on. Listen to what he says to somebody in the background must be watching and talking to him, but I'm pretty sure he says, me and all my friends like blue shirts.
Anybody who doesn't have a card, I have one right here. Me and all my friends like blue shirts.
Yeah, me and all my friends like blue shirts, right?
I apologize for that, man. That's nice and late. Hey, you need another card. Get Sandy. I tried.
No, yeah, he's got to be he's got to be part of that group. He's got to be. So again, that's them trying to figure out the turnstile there. Let's see. I think there was a couple others from this as well. Let me see. That was them struggling there. That was everybody talking about that picture. That's them arriving at Easton Market there. Them watching down some other street that they were in. Let me see which one was this. Oh, yeah. Like I said, I did have another angle. Here's that 86-47 chant that was going on in Washington, D.C. as the counter protesters were there, or protesters, granted on whichever way you're seeing it. This is from Freedom News TV. So I just wanted to see if we can. This is a real quick, about 2-minute clip here of this protest going on. That was going on in D.C. So let's check this out. And this is the same, like I said, this is the same one that we saw from a different angle on the other clip that I was just showing there.
47, 86, 47, 86, 47, 86, 47.
I'm fucking sweating to death out there. This person is an absolute, I'm sorry, this person is an absolute psychopath. Whoever this person is, I appreciate the coverage, and I know you can't see my mouse, but the person in the jeans and the sweatshirt, the hoodie, is an absolute psychopath. Appreciate you being there to cover it, but good God almighty, get that guy some water. So again, people out there, you got to recognize and remember how hot it was, how hot it still is, right? A lot cooler today after the little burst of weather that we got. But yesterday, people out there, showing their displeasure, showing their opposition to what the government and Donald Trump in particular is doing. So not just the Timu Nazis of the Patriots Front, but there was a couple other posts here by, I believe it was Anarchy Princess. Yeah, let me throw this on the screen. This was, again, the other angle that we were talking about from that same protest, from that same march, the 86-47. She also had this and a few more posts that I wanted to take a look at as well. So let's just kind of scroll through a few of these. I think we're going up. Yeah, I think this is going up. Huge lines of people queued up waiting to enter the Great American State Fair celebrations in Washington, D.C. So you can see people lined up to pass out, basically. Here's the Patriot Front idiots again. Local police stood back and stood by. You can detect the irony in the wording of that. As Donald Trump told the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys to stand back and stand by. So this says local police stood back and stood by as the Patriots Front exited the New Carrollton, Maryland, and deposited their Metro cards back into a plastic bag held by the Patriot Front member. They then exited on foot to a parking garage. So you can see that's where they were kind of taken out. This is another moment where dickhead Jake Lang was out there talking about to ban women from the Supreme Court. And again, this is a pretty funny moment because a guy just rolls up on a bike, gives him the double bird, tells him he has a small penis, and rolls off, which I thought is very well done. There you go. You can see the guy here. But let me throw this on. We don't have to watch the entire thing because it's almost about 3.5 minutes. But we'll at least watch where, Jake Lang in this douchebag in the red shirt gets the double bird and, gets told that he has a small penis while the guy's laughing and chuckling and just motors away on his bike. It's hilarious. It's great and very well done. But yeah, Jake Lang here. Is he the one that got beat up by the ice chunk? I think that's the guy. I get all these douchebags mixed up at this point in time. You know what I mean? Not worth the brain power, the brain space taken up for remembering these guys' names. But I think he had something to do with the ice that kicked his ass. But yeah, he's now saying to ban women from the Supreme Court. He's pissed about the birthright citizenship vote ruling that was made by the Supreme Court there, even though, again, it was just upheld, a part of the Constitution since, we'll say many years, let's just say. But yeah, this is a funny moment where the guy just kind of rocks up, calls him moron, sells him he has a tiny penis, gives him the double bird, and leaves. So let's check this out.
If we don't end birthright citizenship, then in 250 years, we will be a socialist, Muslim majority country where our women will not be able to walk on the street.
Right. If we don't end it now, right, because that's not where we are. But, he doesn't understand, I guess. Everybody thinks it's like a new ruling that the Supreme Court just made up. Like all of a sudden now it's legal. Oh, what are we going to do now? It's like, do you not understand when this actually and where it actually comes from and why they made the ruling to uphold what it says in the Constitution? Like, you don't actually think that the Supreme Court just went in there and said, this should be a thing when it wasn't a thing before, and now it's legal where it wasn't legal before. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what they're trying to make it sound like. Obviously and clearly either trying to obfuscate or just don't know the actual history of it themselves. But that's what they're protesting here. This is what this little I don't know, this moment in the spotlight that they wanted is supposed to be about.
And skirts and leggings showing.
And can't forget the Charlie Kirk shirt, right? Obviously representing we are Charlie Kirk.
Any amount of skin because they will be ripped.
Yeah, I love the guy. The guy in the background is my fucking hero. He's my G. He catches him off guard too with a big "fuck you." Did you hear him? Fuck you. And they're like, what the fuck was that? They didn't even see him rock up. Or they did see him there, but thought, he was on their side. But you can see this thing right here? That's almost certainly a big tin of Zyn or one of those products similar that they all have. Why else would he have a big fucking giant circle in his pocket? But listen to this guy in the background. Hit him with a big fuck you.
Shirts and leggings showing any amount of skin because they will be raped by gangbangers. Here we got a communist, right?
Douchebags. Oh, I love him. I fucking love him. Fuck you, douchebags. It's him, and he's smiling the whole time. Doesn't engage in a debate. Just exactly what would piss them off, and you can tell it does because the kid with the red shirt runs over to him immediately and starts trying to berate him and shit. But hitting him with the fuck you and the douchebags right off the bat was chef's kiss, sir.
Right here, a communist, a man
Double
that
bird.
hates our country, a white man that has been betrayed.
He says this man has a tiny penis. And look at, is that his wife? Please tell me that's his wife right there on the scooter waiting for him. He was just like, hold on, man. Excuse me. Sorry, but I'm gonna have to go back there for a second. Hey, Nance, what? I'm gonna have to make a pit stop real quick. You wait for me right here. I gotta go call these guys douchebags. You know what I mean? So she's waiting at the end of the street for him to do his thing, and he's just hitting him with the double bird. And it's tough to hear there, but he says this guy has a tiny penis. Let's get it all one more time. Let's get it all. It's too good not to get it all.
If we don't end birthright citizenship, then in 250 years, we will be a socialist, Muslim majority country where our women will not be able to walk on the streets in skirts and leggings showing any amount of skin because they will be raped by gangbangers. Here we got a communist right here, a communist, a man that hates our country, a white man that has been betrayed. This is the face of the men that are selling out our nation. This is the face. This is the
This guy has a tiny dick. He says
face. Obsession. This is the face.
Hoosiers, baby. Google me.
It's a shame. Google you.
He says Google me. Hit him with the Google me. That's diabolical. Go Hoosiers. Google me, he says. Holy shit. Oh, talking about getting some good use out of your 5 seconds of fame right there, brother. That is fantastic. Fuck you, douchebags, double bird. You got a small penis. He's got a small dick. Indiana Hoosiers, Google me. I'm out. Does it get any better than that? Holy shit. That is fantastic. I might even have to watch that one more time if you'll allow me to indulge, please. Please. Would it be okay if I do watch that one more time with you guys? I'll let it play from I won't even interrupt.
Kings showing any amount of skin because they will be raped by gangbangers. Here we got a communist right here, a communist, a man that hates our country, a white man that has been betrayed. This is the face of the men that are selling out our nation. This is the face. This is the face. Obsession. This is the face.
He's afraid of women. I missed that the first time. He's afraid of women. Oh, shit.
It's a shame.
Google me. He says Google me. Hit him with the Google me, dude. Oh, Unc, I appreciate it, bro. I really do appreciate that. But that's Jake Lang, and I don't even know who the other douchebag is here. I really don't. I have no idea. But that guy is my hero, at least in that moment in time, in that time span. But yeah, let's see. There's a couple other posts. Yeah, this is another one showing the kind of the debauchery in and around this event and the 250th celebration that Trump's basically turned into, basically everything about him. You know what I mean? It's if it's not about him, he doesn't really care. This guy's, I guess, having people take pictures with their kids in front of a sign that says "Trump for King." So this is just about a 1-minute clip that I saw posted over here. So
we will all say, "Oh, hail King Trump!" MAGA fest.
Oh, I mean, this has to be rage baited, right? At this point, like this has to be rage bait. There's no way people out there in the year of our Lord 2026 asking for all hailing of King Trump. Like, really? Like, I do understand that, like, the people that are left right now doing this type of shit are gone on a planet fucking long, long away and haven't been on the same planet as us for quite some time now. And I guess that's what we're seeing, so I shouldn't be surprised. But, like, that's where we are. You know what I mean? This is where we are, America. This is where we are. Asking for the all hailing of King Trump. Or again, just doing this as rage bait to, get own the libs or something shit.
Oh, hail the king!
Yeah. So again, have your kid take a picture with King Trump.
Oh, hail King Trump! Oh, hail the king! Good king, Lord Day. After the fireworks tonight, we took the idea from the demonic demon rats. So after the fireworks tonight, we're going to make him king. King Trump. Is that a good-looking king right there? Free family photos. Look at this. Give me our Christmas card. King Trump. You'll love it one day. That's
great. Feel free to go get a puke bucket. At any point. I'll pause the show now. You guys can go relieve yourselves after having watched that for that long. But what's your shirt say? Party like it's 1776. And you wonder why we call them the names that we call them. You know what I mean? You wonder why we call them a cult. You wonder why we call them sycophants. You wonder why we call them degenerates. You wonder why we call them bootlickers and ass kissers, right? You wonder why. It's just like, it's crazy. And then when we have the rallies and the protests that basically state and emphatically state no kings, and they're like, well, we don't want him to be a king. And then you got shit like this. So again, whether it's rage bait or not, there are absolutely people out there that want to see that happen. Definitely. Here's one kid again trying to, and this seemed to be a pretty big theme for these assholes. I know Brett Baer, I know Brian Kilmeade on Fox News tried to do the same thing where they were trying to compare the storming on the beaches of Normandy to Donald Trump being able to speak on 4th of July because of the weather. Right. So to go out there after it rained and after everything was all calm, they were comparing that and his willingness to go out and speak to, again, the beach landings in Normandy and to D-Day, which is, again, just a complete smack in the face. I don't think that needs to be explained. But this kid here apparently was wanting people to sit out there with the thunder and lightning. He was pissed that they were going to get wet, or that he was saying that, he's willing to get a little bit wet to sit there and listen to Donald Trump because it's some bullshit about George Washington crossing the Delaware. And he's probably trying to compare Donald Trump to that situation.
Fucking Washington crossed the Delaware when half of his fucking men had frostbite on their feet in a blizzard when a quarter of his men died from fucking smallpox, and they don't want us to get wet? What the frick?
See, I think it's, moron, clearly, first off, right off the bat. Let me get that out of the way. Moron. But I'm pretty sure it's less about the water, less about the rain, less about getting wet, and more about, lightning strikes. You know what I mean? More about trees falling down in high winds onto a big crowd of people. People being underneath tents, you know what I mean, that may have the possibility of getting lifted off the ground, thus hurting the many people that may be underneath those tents. Those types of things that the people have to be aware about as far as public safety. You know what I mean? I doubt it's the wet. I know you can hand out a fucking poncho, but the downburst and the wind and the rain and shit that was, that was seen and likely to be, that was projected at the time, obviously meant that you couldn't keep people out in the open. You know what I mean? So clearly lack of care there for any of the people he's now surrounded by in that state fair or at that celebration, whatever one that was. And this is the windstorm that you saw, right? So it's just a quick clip, just kind of showing and how dangerous this could be in and around trees, like I said, in tents. This is just a little clip of some of the wind, I think, in D.C.
Holy shit!
And we got caught in a downburst yesterday around here too. It kind of snuck up on us quick yesterday. I found myself holding down a tent with several other people, all congregated in the very center of that tent because all hell broke loose, and all of a sudden the heavens decided to open up and unleash all the goddamn rain that we haven't gotten or needed in whatever time that we've been going through this period of drought in the area. But you know what I mean? So it all came down in about, I'd say maybe a 15-minute time frame. After that, it was good. But it was serious. It was windy. It was fucking, it got serious for a couple minutes there. So, obviously the health and safety of the public and obviously the people that were in the crowd has to be thought about. So just another thing showing you why these people are moronic and idiotic. And again, if you didn't think they were moronic and idiotic before that, then I got this to show you, because this is talking about some of the crazy shit that you'll see in the line at any one of Donald Trump's events. So we got, I don't know if this is like American cat lady. What's this one? I'm not, sorry, she's a little unstable on them boots, sister. She didn't look too stable in them boots. Did she have a couple drinks? Is she dehydrated? What's the deal here? What is going on, and why is nobody helping her? Why is she crawling on the fucking ground, literally adjacent to the entirety of the line of people that are sitting there that could help, apparently? I don't know what's going on here. I'm not sure. Let's check it out, because apparently this is cat superwoman Trump lady something.
That's all.
Tell me about this getup you're wearing. Tell me about all the patches you're.
What the fuck is going on? Why do I have a feeling those water bottles are not filled with water? Why do I have a feeling it's something that can't freeze in those water bottles, if you catch my drift?
Hats, everything.
Okay. So my name is Mickey Lynn Larson Olsen. I go out in costume as two patriots.
Whoa.
So
I don't know what's going on here, but I don't like it. I know I don't like it. That's what I do know. That's what we can be sure of. But again, it just goes on here to detail a little bit more of that. Let's go into and talk about a little bit about the vets protests and the vets parade and march that they had. Oh, let me see if I can throw this on the screen real quick. Share this. Throw this on. There we go. Because this is a jolly good ginger post here detailing the vet march in Philly. He was talking about how there was no permits. They didn't ask for permission. They just showed up. They took over the streets, and they wanted people to know that their presence was felt here. So to show you that, again, it wasn't just the Timu Nazis of Patriot Front marching. There was several other protests, several other marches going on, and very important ones with very meaningful participants. Not that, anybody isn't a meaningful participant, but people that served inside of our armed forces, that, sacrificed, that, gave up their blood, sweat, and tears, that raised their right hand to take an oath, to uphold and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Like, it carries a certain weight. And I'm sure, people could recognize that. So when a whole shitload of them get together, it obviously speaks volumes. So let me see if we can just get into a little bit of this. Again, Jolly Good Ginger post. Appreciate him for covering this. And this is the Vet March in Philly. So let's see what he's got to say and what he's covering here. Appreciate you guys. If you could hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, that would be fantastic. We're really trying to push for 25,000 subscribers before midterm elections. Again, if you are supportive of not only what we talk about as far as domestic policy here, but obviously foreign policy and, our willingness and ability to go over there and put our money where our mouth is and, get involved in these campaigns for Ukraine. And not only that, but to go over into a war zone and deliver these vehicles, in person to these people, to show them that we are willing to do this, that we are willing to put ourselves in harm's way, to defend them, to be by their sides, and make sure that everybody else knows how important it is as well. So again, a big shout out to you guys in the chat for making this possible. Thank you to everybody who's been gifting and supporting through super chats and super stickers, gifting out memberships, utilizing the Venmo up in the corner. Please stick around to the end of the show, at the end of every single live stream, at the end of every single podcast, whatever you want to call it. We always go through everybody that sent in anything on the Venmo. Doesn't matter how much, how big, or how small. And then everybody here who, gifted out memberships or sent in a super chat or a super sticker or reached a milestone. all of that we talk about at the end of every single show. So much appreciated to you guys. My name's Brian. In case you're just joining us for the first time, this is the Blunt Politics Podcast, the little political podcast that could, just to sift through the bullshit, the propaganda, and the lies of the mainstream media, the conservatives, and the Republican Party as a whole, and clearly Donald Trump and his administration. So if you want to be part of the opposition, if you like being part of the resistance, and you find a community that you like here, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And let's get into a little bit about this vet march in Philly. This is, again, Jolly Good Ginger on Instagram. Take it away.
All right, we're running into the police. The Philadelphia police are here. This is not a permitted protest. We did not ask for permission. We did not get a permit. We just took the streets.
And now the police are responding, obviously, to our presence. So far, they're not.
Which, in my opinion, needs to be something that's utilized more. Okay, no more. And again, as beneficial as I do believe the No Kings and the hands off and all of those protests are, in the way that they, get all of these crowdsourcings together, and they got all of these community groups and activists together for people to be able to utilize. But we have to do more of this spontaneous, not giving a fuck about permits, not asking for permission, not kind of, displaying where we're going to be and where, when it's going to be type of shit, to start sparking these more, I don't know what you'd want to call it, kind of blue-collar movements, right? It's probably not the correct term to use, but I think you can kind of get the gist of what I'm trying to say. We got to start getting more gritty, more dirty, right? It sucks to say, maybe, but that's what we have to start doing. We got to start shutting shit down in a major way if we want to be heard, if we want to see change. Okay, so, all of it has a benefit. All of it needs to be utilized, but we have to start playing differently. Okay, we need to start adding different tricks to the bag. We need to start pulling out different things out of the hat, not just a rabbit every single time. And people can, sit there and say that it doesn't have any purpose or any use or it doesn't change anything. Well, again, we're trying a bunch of different things. You can't fault us. You know what I mean? At least if we're trying all of these different ways and aspects like we seem to be trying to do at this point in time, we got to see more of it, though, right? That's what we got to see. So, again, continuing a little bit more here again with the Vets March in Philly.
Fucking with us. This is the largest veteran-led action since the Vietnam backlash.
Fucking largest veteran-led action since Vietnam.
And it's not just us, it's community groups, there's PSL over there, there's labor organizers, trade unions. We should have been doing this 20 years ago. The next best time to start this is now.
Facts. It's time for us as a people to collectively get together, raise our voices, and raise hell.
No more fascists, no more war. No more fascists, no more war. This is what we're fighting for. This is what we're fighting for. We say no more fascists, no more war. This is what we're fighting for.
You got to love the signs, too. Healthcare, not warfare. No troops at the ballot box. Duty to disobey illegal orders. What's that say? No more rich. No more rich. I can't make out what that other sign says. Military off our streets. Protect our neighbors. Ice out. There it is. No more rich man's wars. No more troops at the ballot box. There you go.
This is what
Abolish ICE.
we're fighting for. This is what we're fighting for. No more fascists, no more
Impeach, convict, remove.
wars. No more fascists, no more wars. This is what we're fighting for. This is what we're fighting for. Yeah, we gotta keep it moving, make some noise, make some noise. I know it's hot. I know it's hot. I know it's hot.
And you get the smart people in the shade.
In these streets, but you're doing an amazing
Now, we'll hang back here. Believe me, it has nothing to do with the shade, but, we'll hang back here.
job taking care of each other because we believe that we will win. Yes?
But clearly a big turnout there.
All right, we're running.
Appreciate Jolly for covering that and being a part of that as well. And I think there was a couple others from this same thing as well. Yeah, this was also posted. Veterans lead protest against Trump in Philadelphia on America's 250th birthday. Quote, today we are not celebrating the independence of the United States. We are declaring independence from corruption and greed, independence from billionaires and their evil agendas. And this is just, again, another quick 55-second look at them marching down the streets of Philly.
Today we're not celebrating the independence of the United States. We're declaring independence from corruption and greed. Independence from billionaires and their evil agendas. Independence from occupation.
I did get that now. Thank you. Yes.
Period. We're talking about health care and some noise.
So, and again, this is even more powerful and even more meaningful at a time where we've just seen Air Force Major, active duty Major Jason Watson, sacrifice his entire career, sacrifice his entire freedom in D.C. by speaking up and calling for the impeachment, the conviction, and the removal of the commander-in-chief of the armed forces that he currently serves in. So again, it brings a lot more to light, and it brings a lot more power to the movement when you see, veterans and people, side by side with veterans here marching down the streets of Philly, calling for what everybody else that's smart and, calls himself, to be on the left side of things typically wants. You know what I mean? Healthcare, not warfare. Protect our neighbors. Ice out. Conscience takes courage, right? Remember, what's that say? Remember, service members, say no to war. I mean, pretty easy things to espouse and to see how they could be beneficial to not only society, but obviously the veterans that go through these on a daily basis. So big shout out to all of the veterans that were marching in Philly. Shout out to, like I said, Jolly for putting the content out there for us to cover. And obviously everybody else that was putting the content out there, the organizers, the people marching in the streets themselves, everybody that spoke up, people, even if you're not veterans that were out and about there supporting them as well. A lot of respect to you guys, and thank you for getting out there. As I say, get out there. We're not pissed off enough in this country. Get the fuck out of your seats and into the streets. And this is the exact type of thing that we need to see more and more of. So big shout out again to those people that were out there. And then again, it just kind of devolved into this, what was almost it was the 4th of July fireworks, but on the 5th of July, you know what I mean? And obviously this portion of it, a lot of people speaking about where, the vain and fucking self-loathing piece of shit that is Donald Trump sitting there just watching himself. You know what I mean? The only thing better than Donald Trump being able to watch himself is being able to watch himself, which again, this is what devolved into here. Again, as the weather, created delays, they had to evacuate, and then they kind of brought people back in there. Donald Trump first saying that he was going to speak for the longest period of time he possibly can. I think he spoke for what was like 30 something minutes, maybe 40 minutes, like that, something along those lines. So nothing overly crazy. And then, yeah, like I said, we turned the July 4th fireworks into the July 5th fireworks going off very late at night there. But yeah, a lot of people speaking about, this asinine moment and, drawing its comparisons to Spaceballs here, which I thought was pretty clever. It's the same shit. It's the same stupidity. The movie Idiocracy, pretty much detailed and predicted the way that Donald Trump utilizes his administration. And again, it seems like Spaceballs pretty much predicted unknowingly, I'll admit, what Donald Trump's presidency was also going to represent, obviously the stupidity of it here as well. But yeah, it was pretty nuts all the way around. And speaking of nuts, what do you say we change gears just a little bit? And again, not to subject you to too much of this, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel before I show you what we're about to play. Because you may not want to after. But yeah, we're just going to change gears a little here, switch speeds just for a second. But in a way, we're not, because it's still the ongoing insanity that we have to detail, that we have to take a look at and definitely spotlight. But this is... I'm not going to be able to do this. This ain't going to happen. This is Donald Trump on with Usha Vance reading children's books. I shit you not. And it went just about as poorly as you would suspect. And again, I think about 45 seconds to a minute of this should give you a pretty deep understanding of how ridiculous this was. And then again, I want to jump back into people in Fox News, people like Brett Baer trying to compare Donald Trump going back out on stage after we had a weather delay to the D-Day landings in Normandy, and like the heroism and sacrifice, which is, again, boggles the mind, the stupidity, the arrogance, and the ignorance that it would take to even espouse that fucking comparison. But let's just, like I said, just a minute or so should give you about everything you need to know about how ridiculous this whole story time with the second lady, Usha Vance, and yeah, she brought Trump on to read kids' books to kids. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Usha Vance, and welcome back to Storytime with the Second Lady.
Yeah, I'm getting blink twice if you need to be saved already type vibes. Okay, I'm serious. Like every time I watch this lady, it's like she's being held captive. Okay, somebody off screen has some sort of munition that's basically holding her. I have to believe that. That's the vibe that I get every single goddamn time. Whether it's her husband JD Vance on with her, whether it's fucking Donald Trump himself, she just looks like, you know, like what is it, the Stepford Wives, but like, you know, like she malfunctioned type shit.
I'm so excited to share another great story today, because when we read, we grow.
Oh, that smile. Oh, fuck me. Jesus Christ. How could you possibly get more cringy? Well, let me show you. Check out that ridiculous robotic smile.
Hello.
Watch. Ready?
I'm Usha Vance, and welcome back to Storytime with the Second Lady. I'm so excited to share another great story today, because when we read, we grow.
Oh, shoot me now. Shoot me now. What is happening to people in this world? How? Ugh. Good Lord.
As you probably noticed, we're not in our normal reading nook today. Instead, we're actually across the street at the White House, where the President of the United States lives.
Where it smells like a turd that's been dipped in gold. Where it smells like a dirty, rotten diaper at all times, but looks very gold.
In fact, we're in his office, the Oval Office.
And you can tell by the skid marks on his chair.
Today's special reader.
And the fact that he's currently sleeping in it as we speak. Mr. President, please wake up and read the books to the kids.
Is none other than President Donald Trump. President Trump, thank you so much for inviting us into your office today.
Thank you. Thank you, Usha.
Would you mind telling
Just
the kids who are watching?
A big blob of orange slob sitting next to her. That's all that looked like to me. Look at that. And he just looks like a blob in a chair. You can't tell his knees from his fucking ankles. Okay. How do you have ankles thicker than your knees? You know what I mean? I thought the femur was supposed to be the thickest bone, not the ankle bone. Like what is happening down here, Gramps? I wish it was better quality so we could zoom in on the ever decrepit hands that he's got going on there. But will you look at the background? What the fuck is that? What are all those? Why does he look like he has like the urn from every family member that's ever died in his family currently on top and dipped in gold, I'll add, on top of that fireplace? What is that nonsensical bullshit? Talk about a fucking Timu Versailles wannabe, right? And not to mention that he's got a bunch of fake books like he does in his Qatari jet. He loves to be surrounded by fake books, unless it's the book of Hitler's speeches, of course. Then he loves that. That one he's okay with. That's the one he's read so far, but not any of these other fake ones.
Inviting us into your office today.
Thank you. Thank you, Usha.
Would you mind telling the kids who are watching a little bit about this office and what makes it so special?
It's the Oval Office. It was built around 1900. It's a spectacular place. It's the most powerful piece of real estate probably in the world. Everything starts.
He's talking to kids. He's supposed to be talking to kids. It's the most powerful piece of real estate anywhere on earth, right? Probably got the best equity, right? Yeah, we're going to build a ballroom. Going to be billions and billions. It's going to be great. We got a bunker underneath it. He's supposed to be, this is a whole story time with the second lady to be reading fucking books to kids. Oh, wow. Jesus H. Christ.
Here, ends here, starts again. And
all right, so for the sake of time, like I said, I just want to go into where he starts actually trying to read.
This was of that complexity.
I think this is a little more.
It wasn't too hard. This is much more exciting.
Yes.
And this
But what's with his voice, too? Why does he sound like a fucking chipmunk? I'll get out of the way. I'll show you. I have not changed the speed on this. Not at all. I haven't touched the speed. It says playback speed normal. You can see right here, right? But does it me or does he sound like a fucking chipmunk?
Lyndon Johnson and Ronald Reagan, two presidents, very different type presidents. And it said, this is Lyndon Johnson, the Oval Office. All the presidents worked hard.
Great insight. Not a date, not a time, not a fact, nothing. not what president they were, not what term they, what the years that they served was, not any piece of legislation that they were responsible for. He's basically just describing what he's seen in front of. This is supposed to be Lyndon Johnson. Yeah, this is supposed to be Abe Lincoln. Yeah, I see that now. I can see that. I don't know anything about them, but that's who it's supposed to be.
Hard here. I think the presidents all work hard, but sometimes they take a break to have fun and exercise, like Ronald Reagan. He was in very good shape. Lyndon Johnson wasn't into shape, but he was a very tough cookie, a real great politician.
You know who else isn't into shape? The person, the blob of orange skin that almost looks like it's fucking lacking bones, currently sitting across from Usha Vance. That's who also isn't into shape. You know, so Mr. Howard Taft II here himself trying to talk about everybody else's health as far as presidents are concerned. And he's sitting there about 2 shakes of his fucking leg away from a heart attack.
He found himself in a position of power. And then Ronald Reagan was a high quality person.
Yeah, he's a high quality. He was a quality man. I don't know if he was quality or qualified, but he was one of the two. One of those things. He was a high quality.
Sort of. It was just like your father was president, you know.
This is the dumbest thing that's ever happened. This is the dumbest fucking. You wonder why kids are not as bright. You know what I mean? In some cases, expose them to this. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. There's not been a fact. There's not been a date. You know what I mean? There's not been something to teach the kids about like nothing. Yeah, it's this is the Oval Office. It's it's a big, great piece of real estate. Great piece of real estate. Got great pieces of ass working in it. It's like, why would you invite this guy to read fucking children's books?
Up to him. He was a good-looking man. He was a man with, I think.
In this, he's gay. Even in this, he can't help but being gay. He just can't help but showing his bisexuality in his late stages of life. I don't know whether it's the dementia creeping in. I don't know if it's that like the filter that's completely gone away. But he time and time again now is just talking about handsome men. And again, big tent over here. Really don't care. The problem is when you get people that are stripping people of those rights, when you get people that are bashing those in the LGBTQIA community, but meanwhile themselves espouse, I don't know, a lot of red flags go up, let's just say, as to some of the things that they say. We'll put it mildly, okay? But again, talking about handsome men and great looking people on this is just, as he's supposed to be reading to kids, is just, I don't know, shows you his mental faculties are gone, let's just say.
Was very highly respected by a lot of people. Here's a man, President Harry Truman. It says took walks. He'd walk right outside the White House and take a walk down the street. Well,
took walks. Nothing else about his presidency. There's no dates in there. Nothing else that, he was like president of this country during, maybe that could be like a relevant fact, something that could be historically relevant and beneficial to teaching the kids about. No, the walks. He used to walk. Unlike Donald Trump.
Washington, D.C., with the help of your husband and others, has become a very safe place.
We do like walking here.
Right. And do you walk with your husband?
We do.
Good.
We try very hard.
With massive security?
Yes, there's that.
I guess. And then you have President Bill Clinton ran on a special jogging track. He had a little track built for him at the White House. That's nice. I didn't even know that until recently. But he had a track.
Oh, this whole thing is just the Twilight Zone. It really is the fucking Twilight Zone. This guy is in charge not only of a country, but of the United States of America. The guy that you're now listening to is the commander-in-chief of the United States Armed Forces. Has his fucking button, has his finger on the button for the nuclear. Like, the whole thing is just, it's insane.
Built at the White House. I don't think I'll ever do that. I don't see myself doing that. I don't know. But
he's calling himself a lazy fat ass, talking about the jogging track that Bill Clinton put into the White House and how he'd never use it. That's what is going through his head now. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm a fat fuck. I like McDonald's and cheeseburgers and Coke and shit. It's like, of course I'm not going to get out there and jog. What are you, out of your mind?
He's actually was a nice guy. I like Bill Clinton a lot. I still do. And then you have President Abraham Lincoln rode horses. He liked riding horses. And that's great. I'd like to ride horses too. In fact, it gives me an idea.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Time out. I didn't think he liked horses. I thought he was more of a camel guy.
You appreciate those camels? I haven't seen camels like that in a long time.
I thought he was more of a camel guy myself. Is there a picture out there? Hold on. I got to see. Is there a picture out there of Trump on a horse? Hold on. Trump on a horse. I got to know. I got to know. Is there? Hold on. Let me see what it says. Let me see. Hold on. Come on. Come on. Work with me. Work with me. No, it says President Trump does not personally ride horses, stating in a recent interview that he prefers to avoid the risk of falling off. However, his motorcade famously received a historic Rough Rider horseback escort to the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library dedication. The closest he's ever come is to getting an escort by people on horseback. he says he loves riding horses. Oh, geez, there's still not a horse that's been made to date. Like, not a fucking Clydesdale, not anything out there that could support that guy and his ego, right? Just the horse would collapse in a heartbeat the second he got on there. But he wants to have everybody leave. He's like an equestrian.
But when you fall off a horse, I've seen too many bad things happen.
That's fair.
Falling off horses is not good.
No, it's not.
So,
hold on. What
We
about
appreciate
camels?
those camels. I haven't seen camels like that in a long time.
I would think if you fell off the hump of a camel, it's even higher than the hump of the back of a horse, I should say, right? But you know, he's never been too consistent on what he says, so you know, doesn't need to add up apparently.
we get a nice old horse that's extremely slow, lazy.
We have a racehorse that's extremely slow and lazy. Like, if that doesn't fit the picture and the mold of Donald Trump's, like, businessman acumen, then I don't know what does. A guy that can bankrupt casinos, a guy that can fucking somehow not make a water company work, somehow that bankrupted all the companies that he's bankrupted, also somehow invested in a racehorse that is slow and lazy. Isn't this the guy that thinks that fast racehorses breed fast racehorses? But he couldn't pick a fast racehorse? Holy shit. Let me get that one more again. He's got a racehorse that's slow and lazy. And this is a kid he's supposed to be reading to children. What are we doing?
Off horses is not good.
No, it's not.
So, we get a nice old horse that's extremely slow, lazy, and maybe ride him. Anyway, father.
Maybe ride him. What? This is insanity. This is insanity. What's this
son
one?
presidents, and that's George Bush, his father. They would like to pitch horseshoes. The Bushies.
The Bushies. The Bushies. I've never heard that nickname for them. The Bushies.
Anyway, father and son presidents, and that's George Bush, his father. They would like to pitch horseshoes. The Bushies.
The Bushies. Fuck me. Jesus H. Christ. The Bushies.
And here's John Quincy Adams. He was one of the very early presidents right at the beginning. And
how about you tell the kids that are listening which president he was? How about Usha? Can you chime in? How about you tell the kids that are listening what president he was? What year he served? Things that he was responsible for. Any facts that you could throw out there to educate the kids that are listening. What are they getting out of this? Oh, Truman took walks. Bill Clinton liked to he liked to jog. You think he can? Come on, the kids, they can take a little bit more. I promise you. You can throw a couple dates at them. You can throw out the fact that, which number president these people were. You know what I mean? I'm not, I can't sit here and list them all off in numerical order myself, but, you'd think you'd be able to just spit it out there, pre-taped type of thing. You know what I mean?
he swam in what was called the Tiber, T-I-B-E-R, Creek, which I don't know if it exists anymore. In fact, I think we're building a beautiful ballroom on top of it based on this picture.
the place that John Quincy Adams used to swim, Donald Trump now, based off of this picture that he's seeing, which is the picture you are now seeing on screen, he thinks that this is an accurate representation, like a blueprint almost of the exact, the exact markings of where that used to be. And he thinks now, based off of this picture, he's now building his ballroom directly on top of where this used to be.
The Tiber Creek. Then we have an indoor pool was built for President Franklin Roosevelt. That's right over here. That's now the press room. And he was our longest serving president, had 4 terms. And he was respected.
Literally the closest thing he's gotten to a fact there. Literally the closest thing he's come to a fact is talking about how long FDR served.
It was on the liberal side. It's a picture of him right up there, right above your head.
Oh, there he is.
Way to go.
And
Correct.
he was the longest serving. In fact, because of him, they made it 2-term. Gerald Ford was actually a pretty good athlete. He was a football player.
All right. Like I said, we don't have to go through this. It's unreal. This is 13 minutes and 13 seconds long, and you guys made it through 5 minutes and 52 seconds. So my apologies for exposing you to that much. I didn't intend on doing that or plan on doing that, but it was better than I anticipated. It was a little better than I anticipated. I didn't think it was going to be that entertaining. But all right, this is, again, going back to a little bit of the coverage from the July 4th 250 debacle that was going on. Again, the smack in the face to everybody that served in the armed forces of this country, with the comparisons here of Trump and his speech. Again, the fact that he went back out there after the weather and, oh my goodness, he's so brave, to the Normandy landings, to D-Day, right? And I shit you not, because it was a couple of them too. I think Kilmeade did it. What's his face? Brett Baer said it, and Rachel Campos Duffy kind of said something about it as well. So this is, I think, a clip of that. Let's just see if I can throw this on the screen real quick.
And the president saying if these veterans can survive, bad weather and storm the beaches, I'm going to give this speech tonight, which is a remarkable message as well. And
like to even somehow think you're making an apt comparison by talking about what Donald Trump said and bringing up the D-Day landings on Normandy and how his bravery and heroism and going out there and making a fucking speech on July 4th is somehow the same is ludicrous, okay? Is absolutely asinine to a point where it is fucking infuriating, right? To the few that are left from those landings right now, if they've heard that, and they've heard these comparisons of him going out there on a fucking stage surrounded by plexiglass, making a 38-minute speech or whatever the fuck it was, to the D-Day landings against the German fucking military, like, I wouldn't want to be in the room to see their reaction to that. That's about all I have to say about that one. But I think there was a few of these. Here's another one, like I said, Brett Baer, basically in there, and then for what it's worth, this is them reciting and repeating Donald Trump's comments. So again, it's not directly Brett Baer making this comparison, but the propaganda of Donald Trump willing to continue to push this is no different in my view. So again, that stipulation is out there. But he says, Ron Filipkowski says, they're acting like this is a crisis of epic proportions that Trump is battling heroically. And again, you can see there and here's one by Kilmeade. I think he was kind of reading off Trump's statements here as well. He says, while every normal cable network celebrates America, Brian Kilmeade on Fox News is reading Trump's deranged Truth Social diatribes from a bunker. So let's see if we can just throw that on real quick, and you can kind of get the basis of why Brett Baer and Campos Duffy and Kilmeade are saying these things to begin with, because it's Donald Trump making these comparisons. It's Donald Trump using this rhetoric again, and just Fox News out there pushing it out to the people as the propaganda that they are for the death cult that is the Republican Party, for the death cult that is MAGA at this point in time. So again, just throw this real quick on in case anybody didn't hear Trump's statements on this.
So guys, first off, I got a Truth Social. The president's just put this out. He goes, storms bring luck to whatever the occasion. They also make events a little bit more challenging. We'll wait it out. I don't care if it's 2 o'clock in the morning or 1 hour from now. It looks like it's going to pass. They always do. I'll be there no matter what, but the what usually turns out to be a good thing. It's Saturday night. Let's have some fun. Even if we are out late tonight. They say 11 o'clock for the speech. Who cares? Remember, 2 weeks ago when the big UFC event was 100% chance of heavy rain all week long, and just minutes before the card started, there wasn't a single drop. And the fights turned out to be among the greatest in history, an event for the ages. Our great veterans, especially the old timers, many of which you guys are seeing behind us, by the way, it didn't stop them. It's not going to stop us either. I am not going to let some rain stop the 250th. I'm leaving the White House soon. God bless America. Donald J. Trump.
Go again. Donald Trump himself talking about how if he was to speak at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., it would somehow put him in the same category as the heroic veterans that served in World War II and stormed the beaches of Normandy, which, again, is just ludicrous and outright fucking disrespect shown to those brave men and women who took part in that day. So, yeah, there was just obviously a bunch of moments coming out of his speech. Like I said, I'm sure you've seen some of the ridiculousness of him talking about communism over and over again. We're just going to go over a couple of the moments where he either flubs up, short circuits, again, just some of the low lights of it. The entire thing was ridiculous. The entire thing was insane. And again, it seemed like he gets paid now from somebody behind the scenes every time he can interject communism into one of his speeches. But like I said, I'm not going to subject you to the whole speech. We'll just go over a couple of these dumb moments here. It says, posted by Aaron Rupar, we're just a minute into Trump's speech and he's already short-circuiting. So let's see what short circuit happened in this one. Again, it's only 27 seconds long. We'll go through, again, like I said, some of the low lights, and then we'll move on here. I know we have to go over what's taking place with the Ayatollah's funeral as well, and how surprised Donald Trump is to see the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, and the amount of foreign dignitaries that are flying and have flown to Iran to pay their respects to the Ayatollah. We'll get into that just next. And then we're going to talk about Kostyantynivka, the Russian propaganda surrounding that, and their declared victory of Kostyantynivka. Not only Kostyantynivka, but they say they've even pushed into Alexandrivka beyond that as well, which is kind of ridiculous. I believe it's Oleksievo Drushivka, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll check out a couple of the maps coming up and how the propaganda is misconstrued, let's just say, between what they think they have as far as territory and what they actually have as far as territory. And then we have some successful strikes by the Ukrainians into St. Petersburg again. Some updates from Jay and Kyiv to come up next as well. So hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. A lot more to come from today's show. And again, this is just Donald Trump short-circuiting in about the first minute of his 4th of July speech, which apparently was a 5th of July speech.
Tonight we come together for one of the most joyous and glorious milestones of all time, and you know what that is, 250, the 250th.
So he couldn't say 250th. So what he does is he have to either stop himself, make it seem like he's saying something else, or just totally go back and try to redo it while making it seem like he didn't flub it and meant to do it the first time. So the twelve, it's not the 12, it's the 2. Typically, you don't pronounce the W after the T like that. It's just 2, not 12. But here he is, Mr. Short Circuit himself.
And you know what that is, 250, the 250th anniversary. And I do have to say this. One of my very brilliant people backstage said, don't worry about it, sir. We can do it maybe next week. I said, it doesn't work next week. This is the big day. We want July 4th. We're not looking for July something else.
Well, again, that's
Tonight
pretty ironic considering, again, the fireworks were July 5th fireworks. But anyway, this is him claiming that there was at least 150,000 people that were watching. Again, the reports haven't come out yet as far as the numbers, but a lot of people speculating that there were far less than 150,000 people in attendance at the time he said it. And like I said, here's his ability and willingness to just interject communism and communist into every single sentence, basically. Aaron Rupar says, Trump starts randomly ranting about communists and says, we don't want communists in our country today. Obviously, trying to utilize the recent wins in New York and Colorado to fearmonger, to try to scare this whole new Red Scare, McCarthyism, the new wave McCarthyism that is probably what they have tried to suspect is their best shot at attacks against Democrats going into midterm elections, which is why I'm going to say that you're probably going to hear this more and more often from Donald Trump and people like Mike Johnson, other idiots inside of the Republican Party as well, as far as fear mongering and shit. But Trump takes issue with the text and the teleprompter. So showing that he's never read this speech before, showing that everything that comes up as far as words on that screen is him seeing it for the first time, and then he reacts to it like it's something that he didn't like. It's supposed to be his speech that he wrote, you know what I mean? But he reacts to it like it's just telling everybody he didn't write it. Like, yeah, well, I wouldn't have wrote that because I wasn't treated fairly. Where he goes on to say we have equal justice under the law, and then he says, although I wasn't treated well. It's like, you wrote the fucking speech, so well, you're supposed to have written the speech. You know what I mean? You portray that you have written these speeches. Meanwhile, we know it's Stephen Chung, Stephen Miller, the rest of these dickheads in the background that really feed this shit to you, and you just go out there and do your best. Try not to mispronounce every single one of the words. Trump calls it the Congressional Medal of Honor. So here's Trump once again short-circuiting and not being able to speak. One of the downsides to Donald Trump speaking late night at an event, obviously the sundowning effect has taken we'll say large impact as of late over the last few years by Donald Trump. So the later in the day it gets, the more difficult it is for his team to control whatever kind of sideshow is going on in Donald Trump's brain. And it tends to leak out more frequently the darker it is.
And he became the first African-American to receive the Congressional Medal.
The Congressional. Fuck you. The Congressional.
Became the first African-American to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor. He got the Congressional Medal of Honor.
See, he has to try. He knows he fucked it up, right? He knows he fucked it up, which is why he's only got a couple plays after that. He's only got a couple tactics after he blatantly fucks up a word. And that one was, again, going back to it afterwards to make it so he has to say it again the right way, covering up the first time that he screwed it up, right? So the Congressional Medal of Honor, something that Donald Trump has wanted to award himself and his sons so they could have a threesome. Don't know if you saw that clip. I know you may think I'm making that up. Right? You're like, that can't be something that he said. There's no way Donald Trump said he was just going to, artificially hand himself a Congressional Medal of Honor and then hand one to one of his two sons and then decide to have a threesome with those Congressional Medals of Honor and his sons. There's just absolutely no way that the demented, old fool, decrepit orange fuck said that. Well, no, he did. He definitely, absolutely did. He 100% did.
The first African-American to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Fuck you. You can't even say it, talking about getting it yourself, giving it to yourself. He goes on to talk about he rebuilt our military. What's this? His bone spurs must have flared up here. Trump brings a Medal of Honor recipient who served in the Vietnam War on stage. Let's see here. This is another one where he tries to say another word. It looks like he says immortal. Let's try to figure out what he's actually trying to say.
We also have the flag that was given to that immortal, just a fantastic.
Oh, come on! That sounds like a drop, dude. I'm not gonna lie. That sounds like one of these.
To officially name the undisputed. When did this come out?
That sounds like one of those. Like one of these.
You're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your.
Right? I mean, that sounds like it could be another
They're
one of these.
just getting acclimated. You know what that means? Acclimated.
Right? Who's to say that it's
Water
not?
coming here is dead.
You know what I'm saying?
When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular.
Some of the truest shit ever said right there. I think that's
Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real?
Well, I mean, it's got to be a Trump statement. Only he's dumb enough to have said shit out
For
loud.
minors. Do we love minors? I love minors.
Because he's a sick fuck. But again, sounds just like one of the drops. We might have to record this. Somebody remind me what portion of the show this was in, because Immortable is a good one. Let's hear that one again.
We also have the flag that was given to that immortal, just a fantastic, immortal Rough Rider.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Unreal. The guy can't get anything out. Right? I mean, he doesn't even know the name of his own vice president.
We've endorsed JP, right? JD Mandel, and he's doing great.
He is doing fantastic. But that's Donald Trump here, not being able to say the word immortal. Let's see here. What else we got? Trump is glitching heavily tonight. All voters must show voter ID. And then calls them motors, not voters. Okay, so everybody's got to start your motors and then head off to the ballot. Let's see what this one is.
and we want to keep America great, and we will do so by approving the Save America Act, which means all voters must show voter ID. All motors.
All motors must be left running and filled with only the best gas while voters go in and cast their ballot, because I definitely meant to say motors, so I had to turn that into a car reference at some point in that, because you definitely think I'd be demented and a fool if I just started saying motors and not voters all of a sudden. Hold on, let me get that one more time. I want to hear one more motors.
Act, which means all voters must show voter ID. All motors.
I don't know what that means, Tiff. I have no idea what that text you just sent means. I'm not going to lie. But all right, let's see what other ones we can get into here. These are the banners of the greatest generation. They are the greatest generation. I hate to admit that, but they are. Why would you hate to admit that? Unfucking believable. Even when he's literally being handed on a silver platter one of these moments, right? He just still fucks it up. The guy will fuck up a free lunch every single time. Donald Trump could literally get his car washed for free, have everybody in the world shining that shit for free, and then immediately drive from that car wash directly into the nearest fucking mud puddle. You know what I mean? That's what he would do. The man just fucks up time and time again. So again, trying to honor the service, the heroism, the sacrifice here, again, being propped up on a silver platter this moment for Trump to be able to utilize, and he fucks it up. Yeah, he hates to admit that they're the greatest generation. Why would you hate to admit that? Pretty easy to admit. Pretty clear from everything that we know about their generation, the sacrifices, the heroism, what they were involved in, what they faced. You know what I mean? The evils that they fought. I think it's pretty clear. I don't think anybody has any problems calling them the greatest generation. Like he's butthurt that it's not fucking him and his generation, Mr. Bone Spurs here. He thought it was going to be him that was going to be the greatest generation. This decrepit old fuck? Come on. But again, here's him throwing away this silver platter, throwing away the free lunch and just shitting all over it.
Ladies and gentlemen, these are the fighters and the banners of the greatest generation. They are the greatest generation. I hate to admit that, but they are. They saved the world and they made America.
They saved the world, but I also hate to admit that they're the greatest generation. You know what I mean? It's like that obviously wasn't written in the teleprompter. Clearly, that's just something that slipped out of Donald Trump's mind right there, came out of his mouth. But that's the way that he really feels. It pains him to admit that this is the greatest generation. It pains him to admit that he, in the billions of dollars he's been able to con and fraud out of people, isn't, more well received, isn't looked upon as being a greater achievement than the people that, again, stormed the beaches of Normandy or fought in Italy or fought against the Japanese, whatever it may be, right? The sacrifices that, again, we've detailed time and time again in our studies and trying to bring World War II in the history of the world into this podcast and, show you the historical relevance and the comparisons and the one-to-ones that we've seen time and time again in this new generation of politics that we've seen from the Republicans, the Nazis, the death cult that is the Republican Party at this time, and the fascist that is Donald Trump and his administration. And he's sitting here talking about how couldn't help himself but say it, that he hates to admit that this is the greatest generation, which, God, that pisses you off to no ends right there, just to hear that. Again, Bone Spurs himself talking about how he can't force himself to admit that they're the greatest generation is just absolutely fucking sickening. Talking about a decorated veteran. Think of it, 107, right? He's talking about his age. So he's 107 years old, and hopefully he's got a good 20 years left. You know what I mean? So here's Donald Trump saying that he's apparently going to be 127 years old at this point in time.
Think of it, 107. That's up there, but hopefully he's got 20 good years left. Think of it, 100.
It's like, oh, Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Even, again, in that situation, doesn't know the Artemis crew's name. So he's like, yeah, just you guys know them. They're fucking the people, the NASA, the Artemis people thing. You guys know. You saw him on TV. Just another embarrassment here by Donald Trump, talking about the stock market and how that's propped up by about 7 or 8 different companies. And if that goes down, if they go down, we're in some serious fucking trouble here. Let's see here. I think that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? I think you get the gist of the ridiculousness of this. If he wasn't talking about communism, he was doing his best to bash. And then there's this picture, obviously, that people are bringing up as well, where Donald Trump couldn't even stay awake long enough to watch his own July 5th celebration, the July 5th fireworks. And as Aaron Rupar sarcastically puts up in the corner there, as you can see, Trump blinks during the fireworks because that is Stephen Chung's continued response to people calling out Donald Trump being able or continuing to fall asleep in different cabinet meetings, ringside, wherever he is. He's falling asleep. Doesn't matter if he's at the Knicks game, if he's at UFC, an Oval Office meeting, cabinet meeting. Doesn't matter where the fuck he is. This guy cannot keep his eyes open. And people, again, talking about this picture of him stone cold asleep because he fucked up this whole thing to an extent where, again, the fireworks for 4th of July went off on the 5th of July. So, all right, let's see if we can bring it up. Was this one? Let's see here. No, that was Burgum. I know he had a couple points. We don't have to dive into that, though. All right, let's go on to this because this is another thing that people are talking about and that Donald Trump had commented on. Again, paraphrasing, he was basically surprised at how many people had come out to pay their respects for the former supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and, kind of the amount of foreign dignitaries that went to Iran to pay their respects. I mean, I think the list of countries was somewhere between 30 plus countries that sent their top leaders, that sent their top, dignitaries to their top kind of representatives to Iran to pay their respects to the Ayatollah there. So again, this is just a few. I just want to detail and show you guys the amount of people that were out there. There was a few that I had pulled up in the sound down on it, and we can just kind of go through this with it in the background. And you can see the amount and this is like a multi-day thing too. Again, I don't know if I believe I heard that this was maybe like a week-long process or a week-long thing. But we are still seeing coming out today live, more people in the streets, people speaking on his behalf. But let's see if I can just kind of scroll and you can see kind of the extent of the crowds that were out and about. You've probably seen some of these on your social media feed as well. Let's see if I can. Why is it in this mode? I don't want it in that mode. I want it in. I don't want the chat on though. Yes, this one. Chat off. This right here. All right, there we go. Yeah, so obviously you can see the extent, and this is just one shot of one moment during these what they're calling celebrations for the Ayatollah, like I said, Ali Khamenei, as they're doing there in Tehran. But there was a bunch of these that you could pull up to show the extent and, obviously the emotional reactions of people. And this isn't to say that there aren't millions of people inside Iran that, are against the regime and are against kind of, everything, not only that they stand for, but all of their wrongdoings against the citizenry. But, they've kind of been reunited, right? They've been united under and against the war perpetrated by the Americans, the Americans, and obviously in conjunction with Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu, right? So it's given them reason, right? Much like we can look at 9/11, right? As a time of this country coming together. And obviously we can talk about the nuance and everything that came after that, as far as laws in this country, as far as ideology in this country. And obviously that conversation is something that can be had. But to see there's no doubt to when you go back and look at it, the unity that was seen in this country in the direct aftermath of those attacks, right? And similar things. And again, not a one-to-one comparison by any stretch of the imagination, but similarly in Iran, the bombings of the girls' schools, the bombings of the infrastructure, the assassinations of their leaders, right? They do and were protesting against this regime. They had been out into the streets in the millions, in the hundreds of thousands, right? But this has kind of given them time or a reason to set their differences aside and to come together for this purpose, which is, again, not something that is showing a country on its knees, right? Or willing to capitulate, or willing to give up in their fight, or willing to rise up against the regime, like Donald Trump said time and time and time again that he wanted to see happen. Okay, this is not what we're seeing. That's not what this is, inducing as far as visions, as far as what we're seeing here with these funerals of the Ayatollah there. So, like I said, here's another report. This is just showing the disdain as well. This guy, I forget this gentleman's name, my apologies, but he's either really, really brave or really, really stupid from doing this report where he's doing it. Let me see if I can turn this up real quick. And hear the sentiment of the Iranians in the background as he's doing this report, shouting death to America, and clearly how angry they are, at the situation. So I'll just put this on the screen real quick. You guys can check this out.
They are saying revenge, revenge, revenge. All of them shouting in one voice that the supreme leaders
death must be avenged. Now, the classic Iranian cheer, death to America. This is a moment of mourning, obviously, but also a show of defiance, a show of national unity for Iran. This country obviously remains very divided. There are people who don't support this government, don't support the Islamic revolutionary system. But here, the people who are in this mosque and the millions of people who are converging on this city say that Iran has emerged victorious in this war, and this display...
It's hard to say otherwise. It's hard, almost damn near impossible to give an argument to the contrary as to who won this war, okay? When, again, we continue to bring up the U.S. intelligence assessments of what the Iranian military still has as far as stockpile. When we talk about the ability of the Iranians to withstand not only the American war power, but the Israeli war power, the naval blockade by the United States for a longer period of time, a much longer period of time than we originally suspected that to be able to withstand it. You know, I mean, all these things need to be respected. We've told you this time and time again, whether we like it or not, and whether we could say all of the things that we have against and can say against the regime in their treatment of their own people and all of the different problems that now face the Iranians. Like, that's all true. But this has not led us to victory. This has not led us to, an ever-changing Iranian state into the democratic society that, the Trump administration was hopeful and saying was going to pop up and rise up and take over the regime and transform their government, right? That's not happened. We're seeing a victorious people that see themselves as being victorious, still standing against the fucking, the powers of the Western allies, right? The Western imperialist people. They're still standing, right? They were still able to, like I said, withstand not only the blockade, but obviously still have, whatever military powers they still have to their advantage or to their usefulness, right? That we've talked about, but that the United States intelligence agencies have come out time and time again and stated, right? But that was, what's his name? Richard Engel. I think that just popped into my head. I believe that's the guy's name. But like I said, I don't know if he's incredibly brave or stupid or both, or thinks he's going to be like somehow protected in this crowd. But that's, again, him doing the reporting from this funeral. See if we can go back here real quick, and I can show you because there's some other videos coming out of this as well. Here's the huge crowds. Here's BBC reporting huge crowds gathered in Iran for funeral of Ayatollah Khamenei, killed in U.S. airstrike. And again, some messages by some of the people showing up there. There was others showing the amount of dignitaries that was there as well. Let me see. I think there was a bunch that showed them as well. It could be, yeah, here's some that say leaders from Russia, China, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Turkey pay their last respect. And again, that was just a fraction of the countries that sent their leaders over there. Let's just see if we can dive into a quick clip of this.
آیین تنها بدرقه یک انسان بزرگ نیست. آیین تجلیل از مکتبی است.
So I believe that's and now correct me if I'm wrong because I may have this wrong, but I believe that's Aragchi and Galebaf. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. Like I said, I may have that back mixed up. It's July 5th, so give me a break on that one. But like I said, it's just kind of showing you the people in the countries that were there paying their respects. People that have been, again, brought closer to the Iranian regime, the new Iranian regime, not further away from the Iranian regime. A lot of these countries, obviously bad players, people that are not friendly to the United States as well. But I just wanted to show this. And then there was a statement, like I said, by Donald Trump detailing his kind of surprise at the amount of people that were out there and shedding tears for the Ayatollah. He suspected that there was going to be, kind of almost a joyous nature of the fact that this guy was taken out by the United States. That's what Trump was kind of hopeful for. Here's another one just showing you the crowds out there as well. So, I mean, it's pretty clear to see kind of the support, or at least the, how many people turned out to show their support here for the Ayatollah in his multi-day long funeral that's been taking place. But all right, let's dive into, again, the last half of the show here that we got going on. And we're going to talk about a little bit of what's happening in and around Kostyantynivka. The Russians have declared outright victory where the The evidence on the ground isn't backing it up by any stretch of the imagination. We kind of told you this was to come. The last show, one of the last shows that we did, we pulled up 3 maps from the Study of War, the Syriac map, and the Deep State map, and we showed you the inconsistencies between what the Russians were claiming as far as territory gained and owned and occupied to what, the reality on the ground, the evidence on the ground, and what the other maps were suggesting as far as territory hold. And we've seen and we've talked a lot about these flag holding, flag waving ceremonies and actions that the Russians, both sides, for what it's worth, both sides to try to utilize this. But the Russians more widely known for lying and utilizing this as propaganda, where they send, 1 or 2 man team to try to infiltrate, get into and behind Ukrainian front lines, and the lines themselves get into a geographically well-known area in Kostyantynivka or wherever they may be fighting, or just any general vicinity inside the middle, and they'll take a picture that a drone can see. They'll hold up a flag or multiple flags. That drone will then send that footage back to the commander. The commander will then say, look, this is the territory that the Russian military now holds and occupies, sending that information thus up the chain of command. But we've talked about how that can lead to very bad decisions being made by the high command based upon the lies that they're being told, right? So when we bring up the map, I'll show you, but it's pretty clear to see if you're being told that you hold territory that is, say, 15 miles advanced of what you actually hold, right? So you're the commander and you think you hold that territory. You think you're 15 miles further than you actually are. So then you base that off as your jumping off point for your next action. Okay, so your next action is going to be, say, 10 miles advanced of that. So that would be not just 10 miles, that's going to be 25 miles that your military would have to advance because they're not at the 15 mile mark. Okay, they took a picture there. They got shot or got captured about 2 minutes after that. That flag is already in Ukrainian captivity. But that doesn't mean that you occupy that territory. So you can see how it would lead to very bad decisions being made, or decisions that would put the frontline troops in direct harm's way based off of bad intelligence, bad reporting by not only their own commanders, but by the people on the ground that are utilizing these, again, flag waving ceremonies there to try to state that they have this territory. But this is Preston Stewart. And he's detailing again how the Russians just declared victory in Kostyantynivka, and then we'll take a look at a little bit of the evidence proving otherwise. And then, like I said, pull up a couple of the maps, see what's going on. We also have our Professor Gerd's video talking about the Ukrainian strikes into Russia overnight. We'll talk about and bring up some Jay and Kyiv reporting about the strikes into St. Petersburg. And then we're going to talk about this video, which I thought was really well done and detailed the genius or the tactics that the Ukrainians are utilizing to get around the Russian air defenses, to trick the Russian air defenses, to be able to be effective with less drones and less expensive drones. Obviously, in comparison to the missiles or the air defense systems that the Russians use, it's pennies compared to millions on the munitions that they're shooting up to try to knock down these, in comparison, cheap drones. So this is very well done. This is by Military Blue. I think it's the first time that I've seen anything from this channel. It's got only 12,500 subscribers, 400 subscribers, but I thought this was very well detailed as far as the tactics by the Ukrainians in this one specific mission. So we'll end with that. But let's get into a little bit of this Preston Stewart video talking about the lies, the propaganda, and again, not painting a rosy picture here. It is not looking good for Kostyantynivka being encroached upon on all 3 sides like that. I think it's, considered an inevitability that it will fall. It's just when and how premature the Russians are going to consider it under their occupation, and obviously the amount of damage that the Ukrainians can inflict upon the Russians while conducting a kind of organized retreat, right, or an organized withdrawal to whatever defensive lines they have set up in the back. So again, this is Preston Stewart, friend of the show. Had him on a couple times. Very honored and privileged to be able to speak to him. Hopefully we can have him on soon again, as the developments in this war are happening pretty fast and furious. So he titled this one, Russia just declared victory in Kostyantynivka. And then, like I said, we're going to detail just a little bit of what's going on here. And this is happening, before we get into it, this is happening as the Russian mill bloggers and people following the Russian military, we'll say lack of successes very closely from the Russian side, are talking about how the gains, the territorial gains in the month of June have been the slowest of the war so far for the Russians. Okay, so as they're trying to, big up and propagandize the encroachment into Kostyantynivka, and obviously the closer they get to the fortress belt there, they're trying to claim this as a success, where we have to remember and don't forget that this war was supposed to be a 72-hour operation, and we saw armored tank columns just on the outskirts of Kyiv some 5 years ago. Okay, so everybody, to put that in perspective, where we are right now, and again, this is as the Russians have seen the slowing down of to almost a fraction of their gains in the month of June than they have in this entire war. So that's something I believe is detailed in this video again. So Slava Ukraina, Heroyam Slava. Again, my name is Brian. This is Blunt Politics Podcast. I really do appreciate you guys for joining me. We're huge supporters here of the armed forces of Ukraine. If you can't tell by the President Zelensky behind us, the Slava Ukraina, and the American and Ukrainian flag, and also the fact that we've also completed hopefully now we're getting close to completing our second NAFO 69 Sniffer Brigade campaign. And this time we're going to go over and hand over this vehicle in person in Kyiv. We're going to put ourselves right there and tell these people and show these people that we're with them. We're going to fight and continue to work side by side in every way possible to make sure that they get all the resources necessary. This will be my second time going into Ukraine since this war started. Second time being part of an aid convoy delivering. Last time was medical equipment, medical supplies, fire trucks, ambulances, vehicles, much like we'll be doing this time as well. So I'm very honored and privileged to be able to represent this community, on behalf of this community, and go over there and show the Ukrainians and the fine people of Ukraine how much we support them, how much we're with them, how much we back them, and how much we could be of use and benefit to raising funds and raising awareness for their mission. Okay, so thank you guys. Thank you to the mods that make this possible. Thank you to obviously the entire community for doing what you guys do, whether that's liking, sharing, subscribing, making sure that people understand that this show is on or know that this is a thing, interjecting it into different communities and different chats where you can. I always say, don't be overpowering. Don't take away from the content that people are watching, but say, hey, if you like what you're watching here, you're sure to love this, or maybe give this a shot type thing. That would be fantastic. Follow us on all our socials as well. We're really trying to get our Instagram flowing there. We're trying to get the Facebook up to 10,000. I know we've just crossed 20,000 recently on Instagram. Recently crossed 20,000 here on YouTube. Trying to push all of the Blue Sky is up to, I think, 150-ish thousand, something like that. TikTok up to 200, nearly 50,000 on that. So any one of these platforms, if you're on there, if you utilize it, follow us. If you could share out the shorts and the videos that we do here on YouTube and Instagram, that would be fantastic as well. Because again, like I say, we don't hide anything as far as content behind a paywall. We don't do any members only chats. There's no time at all ever that you guys will have to come out of pocket for with money to see some sort of informative content that I think you should be privy to. I find that to be utterly useless and stupid. And again, I'm not sitting there selling you green juice or some other product that I've never used in my life, but I'm going to tell you that it changed my life because I got sent it last night, and you can use a QR code with my name on it. So I don't like people telling me what I can and can't say. I don't want corporations, CEOs, companies in general saying, hey, we'd rather you not speak about that. So it's only with your help, your generosity, your appreciation of the show, utilizing the Venmo, which is the quickest and easiest way to get the support to the channel. And again, but any way you can do it, that would be fantastic. We also have Cash App and PayPal if that's something that you utilize as well. But big shout out to you guys. Big respect. Lots of love. And let's get into this Preston Stewart video. Much appreciated. Talking about the, again, propaganda coming from the Russians, declaring victory in Kostyantynivka when it looks more like they have, I think the number that I heard, the percentage is somewhere between 30 and 40% of Kostyantynivka, which is, again, nowhere near 100% by any stretch of the imagination. And again, sure isn't any of the settlements further on past Kostyantynivka as well, which some of the Russian mill bloggers and some of these maps are trying to now claim that the Russians are infiltrating already. So, all right, let's get through it. Appreciate you guys. Hit that like button at the very least. Much appreciated for you being here. Slava Ukraina, Heroyam Slava. Let's fucking go.
So Putin just announced that Russia has won the battle for Kostyantynivka and completely taken over the town. Now, I don't want to shock anyone, but this might be a little bit premature, with one Russian reporter saying the real number is actually closer to 30% of the city that's been taken, adding his concerns that an early celebration here might lead to the same exact problems they saw before in Kupiansk. In fact, we're seeing more and more of these Russian exaggerations on the battlefield recently. Just a few days ago, they posted a flag planting operation in Zaporizhia saying, look at the village that we've taken. Ukraine saw that, sent out an assault element, captured those very Russian soldiers and raised their own flag to kind of say, what are you even talking about?
I actually have that too. So not to break this up, not to stop this too quickly, my apologies, but he brings up a good point here, which is evidence from the Ukrainians to directly contradict what the Russians are reporting as far as, again, territory that they've been able to occupy. So I just want to throw this on. This is posted by and reposted by Jay in Kyiv, but originally posted by Spravdi Stratacom Center, which it says, despite the Russian dictator's fantastical statements that Russia has control over Ukraine's city of Kostyantynivka, even reciting this lie to the U.S. president, in fact, Ukraine's armed forces continue to control the city. Several units of the Ukrainian armed forces are present and even freely producing video content within town, easily geolocated. And I just want to throw this quick clip on the screen. It's about 1 minute and 33 seconds of this Ukrainian unit. It says the 44th Mechanized Brigade of the 3rd Battalion here, talking about how what the Russians are claiming is just bullshit, for lack of a better term.
44-та механізована бригада, 3-й батальйон. Дійсним доповідаємо, що станом на 4.07.26 року ми знаходимося в місті Константинівка.
Поліцейські ФОПу «Сафарі» штурмової бригади «Люд» обороняємо Костянтинівку.
Бажаю міцного. Ми бійці 100-ї механізованої бригади, першого механізованого батальйону.
Ми бійці 28-ї бригади, виганяємо Костянтинівку.
Тримаємо оборону в місті Костянтинівка.
Ми бійці 3-го механізованого батальйону 156-ї окремої механізованої бригади утримуємо населений пункт Костянтинівка.
Ми бійці 100-ї окремої механізованої бригади мужньо тримаємо оборону в місті Костянтинівка.
Ми бійці 1-го батальйону 18-ї бригади ТРО.
Here, all the defense forces, all the different battalions, all the different brigades fighting now inside of Kostyantynivka, showing you that they have not been completely eradicated. They have not, relinquished complete control over the city just yet to the Russians, as they are claiming. But again, like I said, I just wanted to throw this on the screen. You can see here, as they're saying, Kostyantynivka is a city of Ukraine, which we fully support here, and their mission and their continued fight. So let's pop back into the Preston Stewart video detailing this exact thing. And he goes into some pretty good information here, detailing, like I said, coming from even the Russian side about their slow movements on the front and how historically slow that is compared to the movements that they've seen in this war. And even with the historically slow movements, it's even slower than that. So let's continue here.
Now, of course, happy 250th, America. Hope all of you get a chance to get outside, celebrate, spend time with family, and enjoy the holidays. But let's go ahead and get started with the Russian announcement yesterday that caught a lot of people off guard, to include a lot of pro-Russian commentators. Nobody was expecting that Kostyantynivka was going to be announced fully liberated, in the Russian words, yesterday. Putin did announce this, and the Russian...
Wes, this is what I was talking about, if you're still here, brother. This is the clip that I was referencing earlier with your super chat. Much appreciated for your super chat and everybody else that's been super chatting as well. I have been forgetting to star them, though, like an idiot. So I'm going to have to go back by, or Tiff, if you can hear this, if you're listening to this, if you could somehow utilize some sort of method to get me the super chats, my apologies. I've been so happy that I'm just receiving them that I forgot to star them this time, but I can go back and scroll through. But Wes, this is the clip that I was talking about. Putin not looking good, brother. Not looking fucking very good here. And they're meeting at what looks to be some like underground bunker, heavily camouflaged, heavily seems to be fortified in that area. But everybody referencing the shitty way in which Vladimirovich Putin looks in this. Looks old, looks very decrepit, looks very run down, looks very tired, no energy, right? Fucking very low energy Jeb in this meeting right here. So a lot of people were pointing this out.
Ministry of Defense listed or published a series of flags going up across the eastern Ukrainian city, adding their commentary, quote, "The city is now under our total control. Units are completely mopping up districts from small groups and isolated Ukrainian militants who may still be hiding in basements and ruins." They said the enemy has been pushed back a few kilometers from Kostyantynivka, and assault groups are conducting combat operations on the outskirts of Alexeyovo and Druskovka, which I certainly butchered those names. But this was kind of the first sign that maybe Russia is exaggerating just a little bit here. We're pulling up Suryak map here, which is, tends to be a little more.
I'll hop out of the way here, and I'll let him kind of explain what's going on here. He does so pretty well. But you can see here, and again, I believe on the map as they're showing that not only do they have Kostyantynivka, as you can see here. I don't know if you can see my my mouse on the map there. My apologies. But just to the corner of his screen, you can see Kostyantynivka there. So they've seen in a showing that not only do they have the entirety of the city, but they even pushed past that in a lot of instances, and even look to be going into that new settlement there, what it looks to be Oleksiavio Drushivka, and my apologies for the mispronunciation, but I think I was close enough on that one. But he details this pretty well as to how, crazy and ridiculous this is, and how they seem to be kind of way overstepping the propaganda to what we're seeing on the front. So I'll let him continue here.
Accepting of Russian claims. So even Suryak does not yet have all of Kostyantynivka under Russian control. But the more important thing here is the Ministry of Defense said that this village northwest, number of kilometers across open terrain, is all of a sudden being contested.
Now I'm going to go for this one more time. Oleksiavio Drushivka. I believe that's how it's pronounced. But like you can see here in the Suryak map tends to lean more towards the Russians' view, what the Russians claim as far as territory gained, the deep state map more along the lines of reality, as it were, which is why we pulled up even the other show, the Institute for the Study of War map as well, so we could get kind of all three. And the Institute for the Study of War more generally in a lot of cases related to and look like the deep state map as opposed to the Suryak map, which is what Preston is explaining here, is kind of, again, showing way more as far as territory occupied than what we're seeing in reality.
He has made that claim yet. That you talk about the Kostyantynivka falling under Russian control, caught people off guard. Hearing that combat operations are ongoing all the way up here should have set off a few alarm bells. Now, we did have some pushback from the Ukrainian side. President Zelensky said, quote, if Kostyantynivka were now under Russian control, then Putin would probably have no problem meeting with me there and finding diplomatic solutions to finally end the war. But he still won't cross the front line. The truth is very different from Putin's words. And then a Ukrainian soldier / analyst, Bakhmut Demon, was a little more choice with his words, saying, quote, Kostyantynivka is not occupied by the Russians. Took a little liberty, personal liberty, in the exact phrasing he used there, but you've got the actual text up on the screen.
Now, I think you get the idea. I think you get the gist of that message, right? I think it was pretty well stated.
On the Russian side, I was kind of surprised that there wasn't more pushback or more skepticism, because we are seeing a lot of frustration with these flag planting operations and early claims of success from some of the more, I'll say, professional mill bloggers, professional war reporters. Military Informant seems to be kind of walking that line where he said, quote, does this mean that Donbass will soon be liberated? No. We are facing the longest 10 kilometers in the world. And that is something we're going to talk about in today's video, is what this...
And again, that's a pretty powerful statement there. The longest 10 kilometers in the world. Again, talking about the separation between the Russians and, the fortress belt cities that they're running headfirst into, which is not going to be a fun time for them. But he talked about one Russian mill blogger. Let me see if I can throw this on the screen as well. See if I can bring this over here for you guys on the other screen. Put that on there. And this is Maxim Kalishnikov, again, another Russian mill blogger. We've looked at what he's been saying time and time again, and he's had more willingness and ability, much like a lot of these other people focused in on this war, to call out the inefficiencies, let's just say the lies and the propaganda and how it affects the military. But this is one that I saw him kind of put out. And I don't know, because this says Diary of an Old Recruit. So I'm not sure if this is something that he's getting from a soldier on the front, or if that's just the title of one of his blogs that he has going. It's tough to tell, but he does detail in pretty in pretty good quality what they're facing right now. So he says the news keeps telling you about Russian troops advancing inexorably along the front lines. Joyful cries ring out about another armored vehicle being knocked out, or a dozen, or even 100 aerial drones destroyed. But if you look back at the news from 3 or 4 years ago, you'll see the names of settlements being stormed, our soldiers being slaughtered by the hundreds of thousands. Listening to that news, you can't help but think the war is about to end with the enemy's unconditional defeat. Even the slowest thinking jingoists, are beginning to realize that this isn't a special military operation. We're pressing along the entire front, but it's already impossible to safely travel through the Voronezh, Kursk, or Belgorod regions, not to mention the new territories. We're moving forward, but there's no fuel at gas stations. Oil refineries are burning all over Russia. We're crushing the enemy, and drones carrying hundreds of kilograms of explosives are flying into cities and industrial plants. They're reaching as far as the Ural Mountains. The Moscow and Leningrad regions are being bombed several times a week. The war, called the Great Patriotic War, lasted less than 4 years for the Soviet people. So again, may not be as meaningful to you when you hear this, but a Russian mill blogger on the Russian side talking about and referencing the Great Patriotic War, World War II for the Russians. I've tried to instill this upon you how, World War II in Russia is not history. It is religion. It is what they literally eat, breathe, sleep, and die upon is the sacrifices and the propaganda in a lot of aspects surrounding the fights and the heroism and their beating of the Nazis in World War II there. So for him to reference that fight, the Great Patriotic War, and the millions and millions and millions and millions of Russians that were lost or sacrificed during that war lasted less time than what they're facing now in the fight, and obviously the power and might of the military and the enemy that they were facing at that point in time, and how they've said that the Ukrainians are nothing in comparison to the Russians. They have they're weak, they're ineffective, they're not as good of a fighting force as they were saying before this war enacted. Well, clearly that's been proven wrong. But now for him to bring this up is very important, okay? And it like I said, I hope to drill and instill upon you how important this is, that he's speaking about this as a Russian to different Russians. So he goes on to say here that, the war lasted less than 4 years. The Great Patriotic War lasted less than 4 years for the Soviet people. The enemy was very strong. We defeated them, and we even gave the Japanese a beating along the way. So what's wrong with our country now? Again, these are very poignant questions that he's asking, and not typically something that you hear from the Russians on the Russian side. He says, July 2nd. It's July 2nd, 2026, 4 a.m. I woke up half an hour ago to the sound of a distant, powerful explosion shaking the building. As I write this, I've counted about 20 explosions. The Ukrainians aren't sparing their ammunition. I don't know what they're bombing with. The explosions are coming closer than further away, and this isn't the front line. I'm currently about 70 kilometers away from it in a town where a government building was bombed a few days ago. The ground shook again. Driving directly to our base has become dangerous. Ukrainian armed forces drones are constantly monitoring it and going around means by another 150 kilometers of detour. But even there, the route isn't always safe. We've decided to continue on in the morning. We'll start packing now. The guys are waiting for our cargo. We'll arrive at the base. The essentials will be transferred to the ATVs and UAZs, and then whoever's lucky will return. That's how we fight. July 2nd, 2026, we left the city. Something is burning somewhere. Black smoke rises into the sky. Not a single gas station along the way is open. Again, detailing their fuel crisis. Either there's no fuel or it's smashed to pieces. Talking about the effectiveness of the Ukrainian strikes. Good thing we haven't some stashed in barrels. We carry them in back of our trucks all the time now. We'll soon be approaching the base. In the town we're passing, a siren sounds and warning is heard. Missile danger. It's a joyful life we live in, some kind of schizophrenic world. Propagandists are telling us from every iron that we're winning, but the reality, what's the reality? You look at what's happening and stop believing what the official authorities are saying. There was a captain in our unit. His arm was blown off. He believed every word said on TV. He moved from one base to another. It seemed to be far from the LBC line of contact, but the drone got him there too. For us, the common people, the victory reports of the propagandists do not make things any easier. So again, detailing what they're hearing, what they're being fed as far as propaganda compared to what they're seeing on the front lines, right? They're winning. Everybody wants to say how they're moving on the front lines, but nobody's talking about, again, the fuel and oil crisis. Nobody's talking about, again, the amount of drones and missiles that are shooting into Russian cities more and more often nowadays. And if they're willing to talk about it, then it's something that's actually having an effect and an impact on their, not only on their psyche, but on the military on a wider basis as well. But all right, let's dive back into this Press Let's Do It video one more time.
It actually means the fall of Kostyantynivka. It's not surprising. We've seen this coming for some time. Clearly, it's on the verge of being encircled. But what does this actually mean for the future fight in the rest of Donetsk? We'll get to that in the back half of today's video. Now, other Russians were a little more critical here. Officer at the front said, quote, "You can make mistakes, but you can't lie. The information that Kostyantynivka has been liberated and is under our full control is, to put it mildly, greatly exaggerated. It's not yet completely, only about 30% of it. I'm afraid.
So again, Russian side saying this, not the Ukrainian side, not the United States, not the allies, not NATO, not the UN, not the European Union. The Russian side now saying this. So basically, you're being lied to. Okay, it's being greatly exaggerated. We may have maybe 30% of it, is what they're saying. Not yet completely, about 30%. So again, that's coming from the people that are following this closely from the Russian side. It says, I'm afraid that the situation might repeat itself like Kupiansk, which we saw them time and time again. The Russians, claim victory, claim that they had the entirety of the territory, only to consistently see the Ukrainians put up, a consistent fight, a concerted fight, and again, make the Russians pay dearly for every inch, every square fucking inch and meter of ground that they were, hoping to take. So again, even them on the Russian side calling and hoping that they don't see another Kupiansk, but the lies that they're being told, the propaganda seems to be exactly like what they were doing at Kupiansk as
situation might repeat itself like in Kupiansk. Now, that's an area further north where Russia overextended, made false claims. They had a city completely under their control, so much so that Putin offered international media to come in and see for themselves that they actually did control the entirety of Kupiansk. They didn't. They never did. And in turn, Ukraine was able to use that to their advantage, launched a number of localized counterattacks, and took back big portions of that terrain. We're actually starting to see more and more exaggerations by the Russians recently. And we're going to walk through a couple of those. But first, a quick thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Brunt. Look, I'm not somebody that gets very excited.
I'm just going to
buy
through.
Different color, different a little bit. Do so much to areas and taking control of more than 3,000 square kilometers since the beginning of the year. That doesn't really jive with anything else we're seeing. In fact, we've got Russian sources, Russian mappers here, one called Creamy Caprice. I don't choose the names. I don't really know who does. That one's...
And this was what I was talking about as far as the Russian side, the Russian mill bloggers, the people on the Russian side detailing the amount of territory and gains and what they're comparing the month of June, I believe, to, again, the rest of the months of territory gain and how slow they've seen advancement. And again, how bad that is kind of having an effect and taking a toll on the frontline soldiers that are at risk all the time of these Ukrainian drone and missile strikes, and obviously just the frontline forces themselves here. But he goes on to put up a graph. Let me see. I'll skip ahead to this graph real quick. This is the graph that they're putting up, and this is by that Russian mill blogger with the creamy name. I don't know what the hell he came up with that name for, but that's what he came up with, so that's what we're going with. And as you can see here, in June, you can see the numbers heavily down from just months previously. So May, you can see there, 54. April, 65. I believe that's talking about square kilometers as far as territory gained, if I'm not mistaken. So you can see how that's much lower as far as 5.32. You can see here the different categories for Sumy, Kharkov, Kupiansk, Krasny, Seversky, Chasiv Yar, Kostyantynivka, Kramatorsk, and other areas as well. But you can see here in the Sumy region, Kharkov region, we're looking at 23.96 in April, down to 18, 65 in April, down to 5. You know what I mean? 49.24, kind of similar as far as that one is concerned. But if you look at, here's 15.9 down to minus 9.6, right? 31.55 down to minus 6.95. He goes on to explain this a little further as well and what this means.
Of what Russia has gained or lost or progress, all of that over the course of the year. His analysis is that Russia has taken 1,600 square kilometers so far this year, so half. So the Russian Ministry of Defense claim is 2x that of independent mappers. Putin went on to say, or Gerasimov during this report, that Russia has liberated 636 square kilometers of territory in June. Again, that doesn't line up with anything else. Creamy Caprice, again, has 112 square kilometers in June, which is actually a significant reduction in Russian progress. So it's worth keeping in mind some of these Russian exaggerations.
And I can show you here, right? Let's just pull up. We'll go to the maps as we've done time and time again to kind of drill home what we're talking about here. I know as far as I'm concerned, I learn better visually and looking at the maps and seeing the troop movements and seeing what's going on with the geography, seeing what's likely the next move, what's real, what's not real, helps me. So hopefully some of you guys in the chat get some benefit from that as well. So let's just go in here, in around Kostyantynivka. And still to this day, on the deep state map, and we'll pull up the Syriac map as well and show you the differences here, still do not have this. They don't even have, again, I don't know how to, even on the deep state map, they don't have even Apilia. They don't have Plishchivka as being completely taken over or occupied by the Russians yet. And again, that's before we get to Kostyantynivka, right? It's being contested, as you can see here, by the gray. The red being what is can be detailed as occupied by the Russian military, and the gray is what's being challenged, what's being fought over, kind of being disputed. One side doesn't hold it, the other side doesn't hold it. And again, the clear here is where has not been reported as far as Russian troop movement. So you can see a pretty substantial portion of Kostyantynivka here does not seem to be under Russian control. Okay, as reported here by the deep state map, you can see the encroachment. And again, I'm not painting a rosy picture here. I'm not saying that this is inevitable, especially by some of the reports by the Ukrainians and even some of the more, down-to-earth military bloggers and people that follow this fight. Like it's pretty much a matter of time, but how much, what price the Russians are made to pay by the Ukrainians, what type of, kind of fighting withdrawal the Ukrainians can put together. So we've seen here, and we can tell you by, going after this by three sides, Kostyantynivka, in the pincer movements that are coming in, it's not a good look. It's not a good situation by any stretch of the imagination. But the good thing that they do have going for them is the ability to continue to push back into different settlements here. Some of these smaller ones, Osakove, Oleksievo, Drushivka. You can see here Kindrativka. And then we're going back into what is bigger, Drushivka itself. But that's part of, obviously, as we've talked about, this bigger fortress belt here, talking about Kramatorsk, talking about Sloviansk up here, in Lyman. A lot of people considering Lyman kind of the tip of that. I know some people differ on what is the northern tip of what's going on with the fortress belt, but you can kind of see that clear shape in the fortress belt between Kostyantynivka, Drushivka, Malatonivka, Krasnotorska. God damn, it gets harder and harder. I thought it'd get easier to say, but it continues to get harder. As these settlements can come into play there, it just makes it more difficult for the Russians to get through and obviously easier for the Ukrainians to set up defenses. But, we'll see here. You can see here on the deep state map. I'll go back into Preston's video, let him explain a little bit more about this as I'm pulling up the Syriac map, and we can see the differences in what's being reported by Syriac, which is, again, more Russia propaganda leaning than the other maps.
Exaggerations, because for whatever reason, we're seeing this more and more over the course of the last couple months. In fact, a great example from just a couple days ago, the Russian Ministry of Defense on July 1st released footage and said, quote, assault groups of the 55th Guards Marine Division liberated the populated area Kopani in the Zaporizhia direction, driving the enemy out of their position. The occupied position creates conditions for further advancement in the Zaporizhia region. July 1st. July 2nd, the Ukrainian 225th Assault Regiment released their own footage saying, what are you even talking about? And they showed that clip. They said, this is our area. They moved in, sent soldiers forward, captured those Russians that were there planting the flag, raised their own Ukrainian flag, and filmed themselves doing so right outside of that area that Russia, of course, said that now was under their control. And that's a flag planting operation. We're seeing a lot of those. But what this is leading to, and the assessments up the Russian chain of command, is they still claim that is theirs. So the flag planting was carried out.
And again, this is probably best shown on the map as well. So let me throw this on the screen. This is the Syriac map, again, heavily favoring the Russian propaganda, the Russian assessments as far as what they've taken. And here's Kostyantynivka. And as you can see here on the Syriac map, all in red. They've clearly, as far as their reporting is concerned, as far as they think, have not only taken over. And here's Ivanopilia, here's Plachivka, as we were just talking about. So deep state map does not even clearly show that these settlements have been taken over. But, as far as the Syriac map, they want you to believe that the entirety of Kostyantynivka, and now even push her closer into Osakove, and again, some elements even reporting going into Oleksievo, Druskivka as well, which is, again, just kind of beyond the pale as far as what's being reported, as far as what can be confirmed on the front. But you can see the substantial difference. But let me just detail on this map. It might be better actually to go to the deep state since you can draw on it. So let me go real quick. I'll pull up the deep state map one more time, because it actually gives you the ability to draw on it. But just to kind of give you just one quick piece of evidence or example of why it is hurting or could hurt the Russian military to be lying about this and to have the high command, to have the higher-ups believe that they actually hold that territory, right? So let me just go on here. And if you think, right, say you think you're here, right, as a commander, you think your territories and forces have gained all the way up into this territory. You think all of this is occupied. All of this is occupied here. You don't have to fight for that anymore. Okay, so now your next mission, your next jumping off point, any action that you're going to undertake is going to start from this area. You're going to want it to start. You're going to suspect that it's going to start from this area, being that's where you have control up to. Okay, thinking per the, the flag raising ceremonies, per the drone reports and the commanders telling you that's what's going on, that's what you're going to suspect. But so if you say, okay, I want my forces, and again, this is all hypothetical, just to give you an example. I want my forces, I suspect them, and I want them to attack into this direction, and I want them to push another, we'll say 10 clicks, okay, 10 kms in this direction. Okay, so now he's thinking it shouldn't be that difficult, considering we have up until that point to push another 10 clicks. And again, that's just an example. Could be another mile, another 1 kilometer, based off of the slowness in which they are advancing, right? And the difficulties in which they're seeing advance against the Ukrainian military. But just for complete shits and giggles and for this, hypothetical, question here, if you think you're going to be able to advance 10 clicks from there, it's going to be a lot more difficult when you find out that your troops are actually starting from here, or starting from here, or starting from way down here. You know what I mean? So that 10 kilometers that you think you should be able to advance now turns into 20 or 25 kilometers based upon the fact that a lot of your troops are going to be in this area. Or, they've only pushed up into this area or this area. You know what I mean? So you're not going to have the correct assessment of the battlefield. You're not going to have a correct assessment of where your troops are, thus leading to the next action, your next steps being wrong, being a miscalculation, putting your troops in danger, or just not being effective, based upon, again, the misinformation that you've been told upon where your troops actually are. So I know hopefully that was at least followable to some degree as to what's going on and why these flag raising and flag planting ceremonies are having more of a detrimental effect to the frontline troops and the movements than they are actually having a benefit. It's a benefit as far as propaganda. It's a benefit as far as the, the commanders and the higher ups and Putin himself being able to show those videos and saying, hey, look, we got this geographical spot. We can see it here on the drone. You can't deny it. But really, in the grand scheme of things, it's not helping their advancements and it's not doing anything. And it's more of a detriment to that as well. So just wanted to, like I say, show you the difference between the two maps. As you can see here, both viewing Kostyantynivka, and you can see how differently they're showing it as far as, territory held by the Russians, which is what we're detailing here in Preston's video. So we'll go on with another couple minutes of this. I know we're going over, and I told you I would because you guys got us to our goal with the super chat. So you guys are deserving of an extra long show today. So we're going to see what we can do to get through the last few videos that we got. We got this one to go through a little bit more of. We got a video from the professor here, detailing some of the Ukrainian strikes into Russia. And then obviously Jane Kiev, like I've been telling you, has some updates and some video from the Russian attack into St. Petersburg again, hitting another, I believe, oil refinery, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll detail that as well. So, all right, let's get back into this Preston video and talk about, again, the ongoing propaganda and how I think he's getting into now how it's detrimental, again, the lies that are being told with these flag planting ceremonies, basically what we were just going over as well. But he probably explains it a lot more, a lot better than I can.
Out and they said, check, we've got it. Then even after Ukraine pushed back and said, no, we've captured those guys, we are standing in this territory that you said you now control, we had a number of large Russian channels continue to make the claim that that territory was held by Russia. We had two majors, more than 1 million subs, saying, quote, this is a day later. So after visual evidence that Ukrainian forces have taken that back, he said, after the liberation of Kopani, our forces continue to break Ukrainians' defenses in the western direction. Colonel Kassad, 750,000 subs over on Telegram. A day after Ukraine provided direct evidence that they did not hold this territory, called Kopani in the Zaporizhia direction, had been liberated. And this is, once the claim is made, it's not being walked back. So it's just something to keep in mind. We are seeing a lot more of that from the Russian side in recent weeks. My gut, and we're going to get into what the fall or possible fall of Kostyantynivka means here in a moment, pull up the map to do so. My gut says that we are seeing Russian progress slow down across the front. Again, going back to Karimi Caprice, I can't say that with a straight face, even his assessment. So this is a Russian analyst, pro-Russian analyst. His assessment shows that the Russian progress in June is the lowest that it's been in years, right? And the daily progress, the lowest that it's been in years. So my gut is that Russia, down the chain of command, is forced to exaggerate more and more because they are not making the progress that they think they should be or that they are expected to make. This probably also lines up with the Ukrainian middle and deep strike campaigns. We're seeing footage every single day, to include last night, of refineries burning in areas of the Russian territory. So there's probably a desire inside of Russia, inside of the Kremlin, inside of the military to announce victories, which might be why the announcement of Kostyantynivka falling likely came a little bit early here. In fact, just a few days ago, we had
for propaganda purposes, to make it seem like they got some sort of victory to show that they're people, right? It's not just fuel shortages. It's not just Russian missiles and flamingos and drones flying into Russian territory that is going on in the news. They have to, try to speed run these victories into these different settlements so they could get that propaganda out there. They can get those headlines out there. They can get the mill bloggers talking about it. Again, even after, like Preston just detailed, even after the Ukrainians put out videos basically debunking everything that the Russians have claimed, there are still Russian mill bloggers eating up that Russian propaganda and spewing it online, saying that they've overtaken the territory or they're overpowering the Ukrainian forces, when the Ukrainian forces are putting out videos saying, hey, what the fuck are you talking about? We're right here still. We don't see any Russians that you speak of, so I'm not really sure what you're talking about. But that's probably a good segue, again, into the professor's video where he's talking about the effective strikes into Russia, even last night and over the last couple nights. So let's see if we can go into a few of the details. Professor's usually pretty good at putting together the clips and the different bits of information, talking about these different effective Ukrainian strikes. And like I said, there is the Jay and Kiev post that I want to bring up just after this, talking about the strikes into St. Petersburg as well. He might even touch on this in this video, but I wanted to get into this with you. We say we started from the beginning, and we'll go here. Appreciate you guys. My name is Brian. This is the Blunt Politics Podcast. And again, this is Professor Explains, and he says Ukraine is forcing Russia to defend everything. So again, he's just probably going over some of the effective strikes. As he says, Ukraine's 40-day pressure campaign continues. Let's go.
It's Sunday, July 5th, 2026. So I'm looking at the news, and the 40-day pressure campaign, it's just continuing. So here's what Ukraine has done to Russia overnight. Crimean airfield hit. Again, ammunition depots, bridges, and the list goes on and on. Ukrainian forces struck a critical Russian military infrastructure on Sunday, targeting the Vartsky airfield in occupied Crimea, 2 strategic road bridges.
So apparently the Russians,
according to
if I think that I'm getting the report correct that he's speaking about, had flown in some attack aircraft, basically to try to bolster some of the defenses down there in Crimea. And obviously the Ukrainian intelligence got wind of that, knew about it, knew where they were, knew where they went, and knew how to attack those. And I think that's what he's detailing here, if I'm not mistaken.
To the general staff. So here's the Kyiv Post article talking about the hit at the Russian Air Force Base. According to the General Staff, the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the operation forms the part of a broader ongoing campaign designed to degrade the offensive potential and logistical capabilities of the Russian military. The extent of the damage inflicted on Vartsky airfield is currently being assessed. Vartsky is recognized as one of the primary Russian military air bases on the occupied peninsula. The airfield is used for basing operational, tactical, and naval aviation aircraft, ensuring combat sorties, logistics, and technical maintenance of aviation equipment. So they're doing the same thing that they did a couple of days ago, and we just don't know the extent of the damage. The July 5 strike on Vartsky follows a highly active week of Ukrainian operations targeting Russian air power and aviation infrastructure across occupied territories. During that operation, the SBU reported hitting 7 hangars at the Saki airfield. According to the preliminary data provided by the agency, at least 7 aircraft were hit. This marked the second SBU strike on Saki airfield within the same week. So they continue to just press and press and press, but we just don't know a lot of the details. Drone bombers map wasn't out, and we didn't see a lot of things so far. Ukrainian drones struck Russia's Vartsky airfield in occupied Ukraine. Ukraine also hit the 2 road bridges used for Russian troop and ammunition transfers, plus 3 ammunition depots in Donetsk, Luhansk, and Kherson regions. So the pressure's there. We'll get more reports ongoing. Power outage has left Yevpatoria in occupied Crimea without electricity, while most districts are also without water, according to the city administration. They're putting the squeeze on Crimea in a huge way. Here's Ukraine's defense forces struck Russian drone operations base in Pokrovsk. And this is the 7th Air Assault Corps showing this. The site was reportedly used by Rubicon instructors. And if we just press through this a little bit, look at something there got hit in a big way. Like that building is no longer there. So that, yeah. Okay. Let's look at this. SBU Alpha operators struck Russian military sites in occupied Crimea, Zaporizhia.
Again, just the breadth of targets that Ukraine's going after right now is just, it should be very worrying for any Russian citizen, especially if you're in Crimea, but Russian citizen in general, showing you and just how, not it's just missiles and drones coming into Russia. It's not just missiles and drones going into Crimea. It's not just going after resupply vehicles. It's not just going after bridges. It's not just going after railways. It's not just going after fucking personnel and aircraft. Like, it's going after the entire thing, oil infrastructure, everything, every single night. And again, that's not to say that the Russians aren't giving it back on some nights, but recently we've seen that the Ukrainians consistently have had the advantage as far as missiles and drones in the amount of that have been able to be put up on a nightly basis. So let's see if I can, this is probably a good time to see if I can throw on this real quick. We'll dive back into this as he's talking about these strikes. This is probably the one of the more prominent ones that people are speaking about. This is reported by Jay in Kyiv. It says, with the remainder of the budget that was to be allocated for Russian air defenses, either pouring into patching up destroyed oil refineries or being siphoned off by Putin and his family, Russians are left with nothing but small arms fire to prevent Ukrainian drones from destroying the Petersburg oil terminal. So again, we keep talking about these prominent areas in Russia, like we're not talking about the outskirts. I know it's one thing to talk about Chita or Irkutsk, which are some, 4,500, 5,000 kilometers from Ukraine. Like, it's one thing to talk about those. It's another entirely to talk about Moscow. It's another entirely to talk about Volgograd, okay? It's another entirely to talk about St. Petersburg, okay? These things are different animals. Okay, we can there's so many different ways that we could show this and prove this, but we've seen just generally you could talk about how the life changes, the life expectancy, the life of the average Russian citizen changes so drastically the moment you step out of some of these bigger cities, right? The more prominently known cities in Russia, and as soon as you start getting on the outskirts, boy, do you start going back generations and generations, okay? And you go back really fucking quickly. So, as said to be, some of the most heavily protected airspace on Earth, it seems to be increasingly more easy, and the Ukrainians seem to be having more and more efficacy as far as these strikes are concerned, going into these very prominent areas in Russia. So let's go through a couple of these clips. This is again posted by Jay in Kyiv, and this is going after a St. Petersburg oil terminal, and this is just Russians sitting there filming like it's another day. Here we go. And you can hear the small arms fire, which is another thing that Jay in Kyiv talked about. You're not seeing any substantial air defenses, okay? You're not seeing any substantial anti-missile defenses, anything like that try to go off. You're seeing just and hearing small arms fire. And again, St. Petersburg oil terminal, okay? Just like we've seen the Moscow oil refinery struck. And we talked about how they were lobbing up fucking shoulder fire rockets on civilian bridges. And, guys just with AK-74s were left to try to shoot these drones down. So it's not a good look. Not a good look. And it wouldn't be a good look on the outskirts of Russia. It's definitely not a good look. And it's a bad, bad fucking look when this is happening in Moscow and St. Pete and Volgograd and other areas, prominent areas of Russia. But listen to the small arms fire in the background. You can clearly hear the drone in the background. You can see evidence of a previous strike or even multiple previous strikes there, just to the tip of my finger there with the smoke you can see rising up. Don't know if this details an impact. But you can see the smoke. I mean, you can see the flames coming out of this one. You can see something flying in the sky here. I don't know if you guys can make that out on your screen, but can you see where my mouse is circling right there, just at the tip of my mouse? Looks like something flying over. Not sure what that is. See this? See this? What the fuck was that, actually? What the fuck was that? Seems to be flying away from the area. See this? Doesn't seem like the flight path of a bird, right? And I know I did see previously in this video, I think we saw a bird go from right to left, but you'll see it just come into your screen somewhere over here. It's right here. See this thing? I don't know what that is. Not sure really what that is. Could be a, I don't know, maybe I don't know. That's a good question. Good question, because it seems to be flying from what I could see in that video. Seems to be flying away from the target area. But here's some more evidence of the efficacy of that strike. As you can see, smoke pouring up in the background, fire, as you can see clearly in the background. I believe we got another one. Here's more from that smoke billowing up from the St. Petersburg oil terminal there. As you can see, the multiple tanks. So obviously some more damage to be done. So, I mean, just not a good look, really not a good look in these places. There's some more reporting here, I believe, from Jane Kiev as well. Let's see here. This was some more here. Locals in St. Petersburg enjoying a Sunday morning stroll along the promenade, watching the lifeblood of their economy destroyed, soothed only by the thought that they continue to murder children all over Ukraine. So, again, this is just a short 11-second clip of Russians just fucking having some tea, sitting there chilling out like we've seen time and time again. And another thing that this details is the fact that the Russians know what the targets are, okay? There's a big difference. There's a big difference in the way that the Ukrainians, handle themselves and the way that the Russians handle themselves under air attack, because they know damn well on the Ukrainian side that the most prominently hit targets are civilian infrastructure, our apartment complexes, our hospitals, our schools, our just residences in general. Whereas the Russians seem to know and trust in the fact that the Ukrainians are only going after justifiable military targets. Have we seen, instances in which drones have been either shot down and the debris has hit something, or the drones have been jammed and gone off target to hit something else? Have there been instances in which the Ukrainians themselves have targeted different, very specific areas of apartment blocks because they're being utilized by the FSB or some other, agency within the Russian military? Absolutely. But the fact that, they're sitting there like fucking nothing's going on, like it's just another Sunday, sitting there watching the smoke billow up from this St. Petersburg oil terminal, knowing that whatever drones come in, whatever missiles come in, are going after that factory, not the civilian population, not the fucking people sitting on the bridges around it, not to instill, fear and terror in the population, but to stop the war machine. Right, that is the overarching goal of these strikes here. And as you can see here, the nonchalantness of the Russians, that's what I get from this. You know what I mean? You guys tell me in the chat what else you get from it, but that's what I see in this, is them just sitting there. Meanwhile, Zelensky has to do his best to get the Ukrainian intelligence together to know when Russia is going to be, perpetrating and exacting those huge strikes, so that they could give the proper awareness, the proper warning to people, so they could get into shelters or get into basements, right? Because they know that those missiles are more likely going for civilian infrastructure than they are going for justifiable military targets. You know what I mean? But here's this quick video. You can see the people in the beginning here just kind of shooting the shit. I mean, this guy's got his knee up. This guy looks like he's got a bottle of tequila or a bottle of something, more likely vodka. No, in Russia, but it looks like one of those, Don Julio bottles. But, everybody's videotaping. People just sitting there. Yeah, but fucking, holy shit, oh, fuck me. Hey. But okay, let's see what else was reported here. This is this one. Again, Wes, that we were talking about. When you see Putin in a bunker with Gerasimov, that's the real Putin from yesterday. He looks like a walking dead, skinny, frail, afraid. Not the jovial, high-energy one with the bowling ball head. Rarely do we see the real one these days. So again, there's that meeting. Just again, doesn't look very well. I know aging, obviously, considering the length of time he's been in power, it's not likely or, that he's going to look like he did when he first got into power, but definitely not looking great. Definitely not looking great. The hair's definitely receding at a much faster pace. The old Donald Trump neck starting to form nicely here. I don't know what it is with autocrats and dictators. They just apparently all form vaginas on their necks, apparently, when they get to a certain age. You know what I mean? I don't know what that's showing there. But yeah, that's what everybody's talking about as far as him not looking very good there. Here's another one. As the world continues buying up Russian oil, the export terminals of Russia's coastal cities are living on borrowed time. St. Petersburg this morning after visits by Ukraine's long-range sanctions. So again, just another video here from these effective Ukrainian strikes in St. Petersburg. Let's see if we get it. This is posted by United 24. So it's almost tough to differentiate between the smoke plumes and the general just shitty nature of the air quality in Russia, right? Tough to notice if that is a smoke plume or just smog. it blends in, because I have a hard time believing that this whole thing above it is the smoke plume. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, I think they've already had something going on there for some time there. But the smoke plumes, obviously, as you can see in the background, detailing the effectiveness of the Ukrainian strikes. But there was also strikes inside of Ukraine as well. This is another massacre committed by Russians this morning in Sumy, where Russians sent glide bombs into a residential neighborhood, as we just talked about. Among the dead are children. So as you can see there, clearly an apartment building, clearly a residential building, again being targeted by Russia. Says this is another one by Spravdi. Says overnight, Ukraine's defense forces targeted key Russian energy infrastructure overnight, striking a major oil terminal in St. Petersburg, like we've been saying. Ignited a large fire. The facility is among the largest oil terminals in the Baltic, operating 21 storage tanks with an annual handling capacity of approximately 12.5 million tons. So again, here's the glide bombs there's the strikes, as you can see, and the drones going in. I mean, it's just wild. It really is. I know it's just, you may not gather from that little video, that 13-second clip of that drone just, fluttering along, slowly cruising along to its destination in St. Petersburg. But to see that a Ukrainian drone this long into the war is just chugging along. Again, this isn't a fucking hypersonic missile, okay? This thing is just puttering along like the fucking V1. You know what I mean? It used to do the little fucking doodle bug, basically. That's what it sounds like. And it just, you're not hearing any anti-air defenses. You're not hearing any small arms fire. You're not hearing, fucking anything trying to shoot this thing down. It's just slowly cruising to its destination, not giving a fuck, like it's a Sunday picnic. It's just, there's not much in that video. There's no explosions. There's no reaction from the people, but it's crazy. That is a crazy video to see in the year of our Lord 2026, in this fight. What was supposed to be a 72-hour operation, which we saw armored tank columns going into Kyiv. And this is where we are right now. Just Russian bombs, Russian drones, just freely maneuvering over Russia, picking and choosing targets at will. Here's another one from Peter the Great to Putin. The loser, St. Petersburg, face an ongoing humiliation as lack of air defenses allows Ukraine to gut the remnants of the Tsar's oil industry. They can still have their country by merely ousting Putin, but the long-held slave mentality will never allow. So again, just more footage coming in from civilians and people in and around this oil refinery. From the, again, effective Ukrainian strike. Again, big booms being heard in the background there. Let's see if there's any more. Russia's fuel epidemic continues to worsen, with gangs of gas-hungry marauders draining fuel from unattended vehicles. The holy trinity of Russian culture, comprised solely of rape, murder, and looting, will now ensure Russians are busy with themselves for at least the next decade, until the West once again awards them billions to rebuild their war machine, due to some of them having stolen enough money to buy Brioni suits. That was the meeting between Putin and Gerasimov. Let's see here if there's anything else that we can go through. The majesty of burning Russia continues to bless the world of social media on this fine Saturday afternoon, adding itself to the already colorful mix. The Stavropol trailer factory, which is and was producing vehicles used in the war effort. This is 500 kilometers away from Ukraine. Again, detailing not only the amount of targets, but the ability to hit these targets. See if we can just go through a couple of these clips and pictures. Obviously, a giant fucking smoke plume going up over the city there. See there evidence of a recent strike as the cloud smoke plume just makes its way up. There's another video of it. Again, target after target after target falling victim to the Ukrainian drone strikes, and it's definitely not sustainable. But here you can see more evidence and people crying. I'm assuming this is by gas, if I had to guess. The fuel shortages and the people that have run out of gas. Let's see, even with the few Russians that are not bothered by the spiraling fuel crisis are having their lives destroyed by their government in other ways. Amid a nervous breakdown, a woman in Moscow has her day ruined because the regime has blocked the internet. Oh, this one's more about the internet. Okay, so it's either internet or fuel. They're either crying about the internet or fuel. So let's see what this one's crying about and this one about the internet. So fuck, I just wasted a whole day in Moscow. She said, or I should say, fuck. I just wasted a whole day in Moscow. I'm sitting here right now. My fuck. I can't do it with a straight face. I'm sitting right here right now. My time fuck is literally ticking. All her appointments, all my plans fucked up for today because of the fucking GPS. Why do they love telling anybody they fuck? I don't understand it. This is what happened last time. You know, I don't know if it's the translations that's getting these all messed up, but they love to tell people they fuck. You know, she says, I fuck. Seriously, don't fucking understand. It's like, Jesus, come on. I love to swear more than a lot of people, but Jesus, even I don't put it that blatantly. Actually, fuck, she's always talking about, they're always talking about doing it somewhere.
1200. И то, блядь, я заказываю, нихуя, но не приезжает, я иду до него уже 15 минут.
So again, you can see with the crackdown on the internet, the crackdown on GPS there, obviously combined with Telegram, combined with the fuel crisis, has just given more of them ample reason to bitch and complain on social media. But again, all you got to do is tell the Russian armed forces to drop their weapons, get the fuck out of their tanks, and hightail it back into Russia. And, you know, you can slowly start to see things come back, I'm sure. But that's not something likely to happen. Let's see, what was this one? This was, I think, in Germany. Germany's pro-Russian AfD party tried to organize a Nazi rally today in Berlin. Locals sent a plane trailing a banner that reads, Nazis are annoying. So we've seen the AfD party, again, one of the parties that Elon Musk was heavily supportive of. This is in the afternoon. St. Petersburg continues to burn nicely. So this is just talking about the ongoing fires that were burning from the earlier Ukrainian strikes. So again, just an update on what they look like here. Looks like they got a lot bigger. Yeah, just people watching, having a smoke. This is no fucking good here, man. This fucking bad. This smoke, I go and choke on the smoke here. Fuck, man. Ukrainian drone get through air defense. Well, what air defense, really? There's no air defense here, but they get through fuck smoke, man. Gas, fuck fuel. You got cigarette and vodka. Please, hand me now. That'd be great. So again, just a little bit more coming out of that St. Petersburg strike, which is obviously, what are they talking about his neck here? Oh, no, I think he's just reposting that one. Russian blogger Evgeny Golman says the motherland is in danger, with Russians now realizing that Ukraine will soon destroy Russia's largest refinery, which will punish the country into the trash can of history. With 45% of Russia's refinery capacity already destroyed, hitting Omsk will take another 8% offline, many saying a point of irrevocable critical mass here. So again, another Russian worried about the devastating effects and impacts of the ongoing Ukrainian strikes. Here is a fight breaking out over gas, I'm assuming. You cut me in the line for a gas, man. You fuck. Get behind me. I've been here for 3 days. You come just 2 seconds ago, and you think you're going to cut me in the line. Fuck you, man. Сук, блядь. I love the guy in the backpack just walking by them like, yeah, this is normal. We say this every day. All right, look at him. Look at the guy. Look at the guy in the back. He's like, I'm not helping. You want me to jump in somewhere? I'm not fucking stopping it. Nobody cares. Oh, Jesus. Unreal. Let's see. Anything else that we got here? I guess we could dive on to this last video that I wanted to talk about as well. If you guys will indulge, allow me to indulge you. This is, again, by Military Blue on YouTube here. They have 12.4 thousand subscribers. This has 121,000 views, and it was put out about 4 hours ago. So obviously others are recognizing the basically how well done this was and the details that come out of this. I think this is very brilliant, not only the way that they put this video together, but also the tactics here shown by the Ukrainians, which again know how to utilize, even if they don't have the numerical, power. They don't have the numerical supremacy as far as drones are concerned. A lot of the nights that we've seen more recently, they have the ability to throw up more than the Russians. But even if some in particular attacks they don't, look at the way that they're able to utilize the tactics. Because what we're about to see is an attack into Crimea by the Ukrainians of, I believe, about 12 or 13 different drones, which are going against Russian air defenses, which have, I believe, 32 different missiles that they could launch, each individual one. So clearly, an overwhelming amount of Russian air defense missiles to be able to take down just 12 Ukrainian drones, right? Not only that, but the Ukrainian drones, a fraction of the cost that the missiles that the Russians would have to send up to take those down would be. So millions and millions of dollars per missile that they have to shoot up, compared to, again, tens or maybe at the most hundreds of thousands of dollars on the side of the drone. So listen to the way that the Ukrainians utilize the tactics of height, maneuverability, different speed, different ways of utilizing the radar and the signal being put out by these drones to get around the very much more substantial Russian air defenses, the very much more expensive Russian air defenses, to trick them into getting a window open of just mere seconds to allow at least one or some of the drones to make its way to its target. And again, with the ever increasing amount of payload, the explosive, what the hell was I thinking? I don't know, whatever word that I'm trying to think of, but the amount of explosives that are able to be attached to these drones now, you don't really need to have every single one of them make it through to be able to affect some pretty substantial damage on whatever the target is. Is it great if they could all make it through? Yes, but do you need it in a lot of these cases, depending on what the target is? No. So wait till you hear about the tactics and the way that they've been able to do this. I'll speed it up just a touch. I know we're over, but you guys are deserving of it, getting us to our goal. And then we'll get through a couple minutes of this, and then I'll say thank you to everybody that was nice enough to send over a Venmo today, which is just up in the corner. Easiest and quickest way to send over a buck or two. And that's all we ask for as far as support for the show. If you think we're deserving of more than that, I'm not going to stand in your way. But as far as what I ask for, what we ask for here on this channel, $1 or $2 from everybody that watches this show every single day would do wonders for what this channel is able to produce, right? I would love to be able to spend more time in Ukraine covering the war. I would love to spend more time flying around this country, detailing what's going on at Delaney, detailing what's going on in Minnesota, detailing what's going on in New York, what's happening even around here is expensive to do. So the more that we're able to build this community, the more that we're able to do with the community, if that makes sense. And it's only with your help and generosity that we're able to do that. So if you think that we're willing and deserving of a bigger platform and your support and generosity, then feel free either to utilize the Venmo. There is a way for you to not only gift out memberships, but sign up for a YouTube membership just underneath me, or you can head over to patreon.com/Boston Brian. There are 3 fantastic tiers on there. Each have their own individual perks if one fits your financial situation, and you can sign up and want to join the backbone of this community and the opposition here, then feel free to do so. We welcome you in with open arms. There's also bostonbrian.com. You can head over there. There is all of my social media links, all of the information for our Zoom meetings that we have related to the Patreon community, and then you can head over to the Blunt Politics merch shop through there as well. Link, all you gotta do is click that link, takes you right to it. You can look at all the fantastic hoodies, sweatshirts, t-shirts, stickers, mugs, hats, all of it. And again, doesn't have to necessarily pertain to Blunt Politics or say Boston Brian. A lot of great designs on there. I think we're punching way above our weight class as far as merch designs is concerned for a channel of less than 30,000 subscribers. I think we're doing pretty fucking well. So again, check it out. If you could support the channel that way, that would be fantastic. If you can't, totally understood. Again, totally not required to come out of pocket to enjoy this content, to enjoy this channel. If you could just like, share, and subscribe, leave a comment in the chat after the video is posted, come in, leave a few words as a comment, a permanent comment, all of those things, free to do so, doesn't cost you a dime, quick to do so, and does a lot to help this community and boost us up in the algorithm. A lot of the things that we talk about aren't really substantially boosted in the algorithm as far as topics, whether it be, obviously our bashing and calling out of the Republicans, whether that be talking about foreign policy as far as Israel and Gaza, Lebanon, the war in Ukraine, whatever it may be. It's tough to fight through the algorithm based off of the things that we find important to talk about. So, all right, just to dive into this one more time, credit where credit is due. Let me give credit to this channel, which is Military Blue on YouTube. Again, 12,400 subscribers. This one's titled Ukraine waited for Russian fighter reinforcements to reach Crimea, then blew it up. So again, I sped it up just a touch so we could try to fly through this a little quicker. But this is fantastic. Not only the way that they explain it, but also the tactics that the Ukrainians were using as far as a much smaller force, as far as drones going against a much more expensive and much more numerical air defense system. So let's take a look at this.
At 04:14 hours, local time, from a secret launch site in Odessa, 12 Ukrainian FP-2 UAVs left their launchers simultaneously and raced straight towards Seki military airfield in western Crimea. After a series of Ukrainian attacks aimed at encircling and isolating Crimea, Russia had just sent an additional squadron of Su-30 fighters to Seki to strengthen air defense and support the entire peninsula. When the formation was still 40 miles from the target, an S-400 Triumph missile battery in Olenivka detected them immediately. On the radar screen, the Russian operator saw 12 small signals entering the engagement zone. What made him confident was the numbers. 32 missiles against 12 cheap drones, a completely uneven ratio. The Ukrainians knew this, and they were not playing by probability. They had another carefully prepared plan.
So again, the Ukrainians knew this going into it, that battery would have 32 separate missiles to shoot down just 12 or 13 different drones. So some other tactics were going to have to come and play if, again, they wanted one or any of those drones to make it to its ultimate target. So wait till you hear what they did.
The first group of 3 UAVs suddenly broke away from the formation and climbed higher. Their internal combustion engines were pushed to maximum power. An electromagnetic screech immediately swept across the sky, lighting up Russian radar screens within a 15-mile radius. And that was exactly what Ukraine wanted. The first 3 UAVs had been sent forward to pull the entire Russian air defense system toward themselves. Like a magician, the thing they want you to look at first is never the real strike. What appears afterward is what surprises you and deceives you. 30 seconds later, the next group of 3 FP-2S broke away from the formation over the central Black Sea, dropping low to skim the sea surface at 250 feet. Their thermal...
So the first 3 went high, right? Increased their speed, increased the noise coming from their engine, thus drawing in more attention from the radars and from the different things that the Russians utilized to pick up these different drone movements. Second 3 went low, hit the deck, right? So again, you can see how they're playing with the Russians and utilizing it's not just launch the drone up, set targets from A to B. Here's where you're going from. Here's where you're landing. And this is the target. And that's it, right? It's much more complex than that. It's much more nuanced. It's much more intelligent and based off of different tactics that they've tried out. I'm sure, failing a bunch of times and then thus coming up with a different tactic that works. And this is it's amazing. Again, 13 different drones, 12 or 13 different drones against multiple different air defenses. Again, each battery, depending on which one you're talking about, some have 32 different missiles that they could utilize, others less, some more, I suspect, I think. But again, just to show you it's not an even match. So they have to utilize different tactics to try to even the playing field, which is exactly what you're seeing here.
Cameras turned the dark sea into a gray picture of heat and cold. Behind them, the final 2 groups continued keeping their distance. Their engines were already hot, their guidance systems had already locked onto the flight route, but they were not rushing in yet. Everything was running according to a timer programmed weeks earlier by people who understood one thing very clearly. An air defense system, just like a human being, can only focus on a limited number of threats at the same time. At this moment, the S-400 battery commander faced a harder problem. Each drone was worth $70,000, while each of his missiles was worth $2 million, a completely uneven exchange.
And there again is another benefit to this whole thing, and something that the first time that I went over to Ukraine was already prominently being talked about is how can we utilize the cheap, not cheap, but relatively cheap equipment to take out a substantial portion of the Russians' capabilities, the Russians' equipment, right? So we were talking about attacks that were, basically costing the Ukrainians, let's say, $100,000 to produce or to enact, taking out, multiple millions of dollars worth of aircraft, air defenses, whatever it may be, ammunition type of thing. So if we could continue that and take out the maximum amount of numerical, numbers of equipment worth the most amount of money, utilizing the cheapest amount of drones or the cheapest amount of stuff on our side, clearly that's going to be a benefit. So to have to shoot up a $2 million missile to take out a $70,000 drone is clearly, even if that does happen, and even if they did shoot down all 13, is, it's something that's not sustainable for the Russians in general. You know what I mean? So there's ways that this is beneficial and, kind of hampering the ability of the Russians' air defenses in general, even if none of them made it through. But here, I'll go on and let them speak about the remaining tactics to allow these drones to get through these air defenses.
Change. On paper, the S-400 still had enough firepower to shoot them down easily. But Ukraine had another bold plan. They only needed Russian radar to be stretched thin, the combat crew to be forced into choosing the wrong priority, and the gate into Seki to open for a few short minutes. And that was enough time for each UAV group to move in a different direction. The northern group, made up of 3 FP-2S, began acting first. They climbed to 2,000 feet, amplified their signals, then accelerated to 120 miles per hour as if they were about to dive into the target. On the S-400 radar screen, these...
So mimicking attacks, increasing their speed, increasing the noise of the engine, doing, what drones would look like they would be doing if they were going in for attack, thus making it seem like they're the most prominent of targets, right? They're the most dangerous targets going in for their attack, thus, drawing the attention away from the other drones. So this is smart shit, okay? This is unbelievably, I don't even know what you'd say. It's just incredible tactics being displayed here to try to get around, again, a more powerful air defense system, a much more expensive air defense system, and something that is, has the ability to take out all of these drones. So you have to utilize these different kind of maneuvers to get around it, and that's what they're showing.
3 bright points stood out more than anything else, clear enough to draw attention, fast enough to feel dangerous, and obvious enough to force the Russian combat crew to react. The middle group kept a much colder flight pattern. 3 UAVs maintained an altitude of 350 feet, holding a straight line towards Seki airfield. They flew as if they did not care that they had already been detected. To the south, the third group began its part of the plan. They curved deep into the central Black Sea, stretching their flight path away from the Crimean Peninsula, away from Seki, away from every obvious military target. To a radar crew under pressure, that direction looked almost irrational. Maybe they were moving to attack a different target. Ukraine understood Russia's dense, modern air defense weapons too well. They always had a plan detailed and safe enough. The remaining group of 3 FP-2S dropped to only 100 feet above the sea surface, reduced speed to the minimum, and kept their distance from the entire formation ahead. They quietly slid over the water, turning wave reflection clutter into their own natural cover. This was the reserve group. If the middle group was destroyed, they would immediately become the main attack group. If the S-400 poured missiles into the northern group, they would gain more time to close in. If Seki's air defense called for support or moved in additional interceptors, they would cut off that support before it could form a new defensive layer. The S-400 launcher turned north and raised its launch angle. On the control screen, the 3 northern FP-2S were the clearest targets. They were almost turning themselves into the easiest answer for the Russian combat crew. The order to fire was given. 3 9M96E2 missiles left their launch tubes, pulling columns of white flame into the Crimean sky. During the first 6 seconds, they flew according to correction commands from the S-400's gravestone radar: climb, hold course, adjust slightly left, accelerate to Mach 3, and close the distance. Inside each missile was a small guidance processor, continuously calculating the interception angle, measuring closing speed, comparing target altitude, and predicting the next position of the northern group moving ahead. The SSU Alpha Special Forces team had been waiting for exactly this moment. As the missiles entered their
what's that, $6 million in Russian missiles to take out $210,000 of Ukrainian drones. So almost sending up sacrificial lambs, You know what I mean? So we'll send up this wave. If they get taken out, this wave now takes over. Or we'll send this wave out into this area so it can soak up the Russian air defenses, and hopefully this other group can make its way around it. And if they do attack that one, then the other one steps up. So it's almost like willing to sacrifice one of the groups, and they have kind of like a third and a second and third string waiting in the wings there with, just like I said, I think it was 12 or 13 different drones. They're able to utilize these tactics here.
Terminal phase, the active radar seeker in the nose of each missile began operating. The X-band radar scanned straight into the airspace ahead, emitting dense pulses of energy to find the target on its own. As soon as the radar warning receivers on the FP2 group detected the signal shifting from ground radar tracking to missile seeker lock, all three UAVs immediately changed course. They made a sharp dive down toward the sea surface, trading away all the altitude they had just gained to pull the missiles out of their original interception solution. Only seconds earlier, the missile computers had been calculating a meeting point with a high target. Now, the target had suddenly dropped at a 60-degree angle. The three missiles tried to follow. Their control surfaces adjusted continuously in the high-speed airflow. But the problem was not only the flight angle. The problem was that below them, there was no longer a clean sky. There was the sea. Waves, moisture, white foam, and chaotic reflective patches began bouncing radar energy back into the seekers. The Doppler filters tried to distinguish the real UAVs from background clutter, but at extreme speed, the missiles had too little time to read it all. It was like trying to find a small bird in a storm while you yourself were flying through that storm at the speed of a bullet. At 100 feet above the sea surface, the three FP2s stabilized their flight path. They only needed to make the radar seekers lose a clear picture of the target. A few seconds later, all three missiles lost lock. The onboard computers could no longer confirm a valid target ahead. The self-destruct mechanism activated, and two small explosions flashed above the sea surface.
They basically beat the system on those air defenses, on those missiles. You know what I mean? They basically figured out the tactics. They figured out the maneuvers that need to be accomplished, that need to be performed in order to have the best probability of breaking that connection between the air defense missiles and that drone. Right. So whether it's utilizing the sea and the reflections of, the radar waves, or again, just the sights that it's seeing there, the altitude, these missiles originally went up thinking that they were going to hit high altitude targets. That changed quickly based upon the 60-degree shift of the Ukrainian drones. So these are all tactics to get around very expensive and what are very prominently used Russian air defenses. So if these can be more widely put into practice, obviously we're going to start seeing more and more efficacy by the Ukrainian drone crews here. So just to let this complete, and we'll show you how they affected this strike here.
After that failed interception, the Russian air defense crew shifted its attention to the third group in the south. There was only one problem. That group had disappeared. Not disappeared from the sky, but on the S-400 radar screen, the three southern signals suddenly faded, broke apart, and dropped out of tracking as if they had been swallowed by the Black Sea. They had done something simple but extremely irritating. They had flown deeper into the central Black Sea, pulling themselves away from the main surveillance axis around Crimea. For the 91 N6E long-range surveillance radar, a high-flying target could be detected within a range of 280 miles. But a small UAV flying only 100 feet above the sea surface was a completely different problem. The radar horizon dropped lower, reflection clutter from the water increased sharply, and the radar cross-section of an FP2 was far smaller than that of a manned aircraft. 3-foot waves, salty moisture, an 18-knot crosswind, and a low reflection angle turned each UAV into a dot that appeared and vanished. At a speed of around 100 miles per hour, losing track for only 20 seconds meant each FP2 had already traveled almost 0.5 miles farther out at sea. The Russian commander immediately called the S-400 Triumph battery in the Sevastopol port area. A few seconds later, another 91 N6E radar was brought into an expanded sweep toward the Black Sea, using a 12-degree angle search mode to filter small targets flying close to the water surface.
And again, not only does this just have the ability to take out some of these different targets that they're going after, but now knowing where these radar systems lie, now knowing where and how they're utilized, and I'm sure they knew this already, being able to utilize these tactics and get around them, but having the ability now to pinpoint to a better degree where they are, so they can take these out, so that they have the Russians a more difficult time the next time that this strike takes place. But let's see. I'm going to go on and jump ahead because I know we're coming up to the end of the show here on just where they actually start hitting their targets. Okay, so let me see if we can fly up here, and I think they start impacting their targets roughly right here, I think,
where a squadron of Su-30S has just been sent to reinforce Crimea's air defense. The third group flies along the outer edge 100 feet lower than the other two groups, angling toward the defensive flank as if it is only a secondary target. For the Pantsir crew, this is exactly the kind of situation they have been trained to handle. Two 57E6 missiles are selected in advance. Each missile is 10 feet long, weighs 150 pounds, reaches speeds above Mach 2, and is designed to intercept low-flying targets before they can get too close. The launch order is given. 2 launch tubes flash, and 2 white streaks of fire shoot away from the combat vehicle. The first missile locks onto the lead FP2. Within seconds, its proximity warhead detonates 15 feet from the UAV's body, tearing it into a cloud of small fragments that fall into the empty ground outside the airfield. The second missile chases the FP2, heading toward the parking area. The UAV tries to bank sharply and drop another 65 feet to blend into the dark ground below. But at this range, it does not have enough time. The second explosion flashes through the pre-dawn mist. The second FP2 disappears from the radar screen. The distance is now just over 1 mile. At that range, missiles are no longer the best option. The targets are flying low, near the edge of the engagement zone, and constantly changing their approach angles. If more missiles are fired, the risk that they will fail to guide properly or enter the area too close to the airfield becomes too high. The crew chief orders a switch to guns. The Panzer's 230mm 2A38M automatic cannons begin firing. Their combined rate of fire reaches up to 5,000 rounds per minute. They create a wall of metal in front of the airfield, a dense curtain of fire thick enough to tear apart any UAV that flies straight into it. The low sky in front of Seki instantly lights up with orange streaks. 30mm rounds cut through the mist, crackling across the approach path. From the ground, it looks like a burning net being stretched across the front of the base. The FP2 on the outer flank drops even lower, slides toward the outer edge of the gunfire zone, then curves in a wide arc behind the main firing direction. It has been flying on the far edge to create an escape angle away from the gun axis. When the 2 lead drones are shot down, the Panzer is forced to focus its cannons toward the front of the airfield. And at that exact moment, the third drone disappears from the place where the Russian crew expects it to appear. The 1RS-21E radar tries to swing back and catch the target. The turret begins adjusting direction. But a combat vehicle does not turn like a handheld camera. It needs time to shift its firing axis, stabilize the sight line, and bring the target back into the center of the kill zone. A delay of only a few seconds is enough. The FP2 suddenly opens its throttle. It races straight toward the Panzer S1. At a distance of half a mile, the entire advantage of the air defense system begins to shrink. The radar can see the target, but seeing it is no longer the same as firing in time. The guns can turn, but they cannot turn fast enough to fully cover the new angle. The Russian crew has only a few seconds. A final burst of 30mm rounds shoots too high. The aiming point slips behind the UAV. The body of the FP2 shakes in the turbulent air, but it holds its course. Its nose camera now sees only the air defense vehicle growing larger in the frame. The turret, the radar cluster, the launch tubes, and the vehicle hull sitting near the edge of the airfield. Then impact comes. The FP2 warhead detonates beside the hull and combat equipment section of the Panzer. The blast wave slams into the radar compartment, damaging the sensor cluster and fire control system. The twin
well, again, we'll end on that note there, the effective strike on at least that air defense system. But the broader strike also had impact as well, beyond just targeting that air defense system. But the fact that those tactics were being used, it was almost like the Ukrainians predicted every single maneuver, every single thing that the Russians were going to do before it happened. They knew when they were going to fire their systems and when to dive the drones. They knew how many groups to separate. They know which one to go low, which one to go high, right? They knew exactly the fact that, at that exact time, it was going to take that system too long to rotate its guns to be able to effectively fire on it, thus utilizing that couple seconds to effectively strike that air defense system. So many different ways in which they were just shown to have brilliant tactics to get around the Russian air defenses in that one strike there. So I thought that was well done by that channel to bring that to light and to make that so we could utilize that. Let's get into thanking some people today. Another great show. Like I say, I'm always biased, though. Typically, it has my name on it, so I have to think it's a great show. But you guys let me know what you think in the chat. Thank you guys so much to everybody contributing to this show. I really, really do appreciate it, and I struggle to show just how much gratitude I have for you guys and your ability to support this community. But what do you say we try by thanking people on the old Venmo side of things, as we do at the end of every single show. And then we'll hop over to YouTube and thank everybody on YouTube. Tiff, I don't know if you can maybe, take a picture. You know what I mean? I don't know if screenshots may work, since I totally slacked today on my ability to star all of the super chats. But you don't have to, I just feel bad if you had to send them individually. So I don't know if you can put them all in one place and just take a screenshot, and I can thank everybody that way. But we'll get into the Venmo, give a couple seconds for Tiff to figure out how we're going to do that today. But thank you so much first today, Bry Guy. Thank you to Brian H. Much appreciated for the 250 on Venmo. He says, okay, Bri, the end of your show was starting to sound like AI Friday with Hal. 12 degree, this glide pattern, these military physics yammer, but still easier than AI Gobble. Much appreciated. I didn't mean to get too in the weeds and the intricacies of the tactics there utilized by the Ukrainians. But when you hear exactly what goes into it and what they're up against, again, as far as not only capabilities, but obviously cost and effectiveness, and how they manage to kind of use their drones as sacrificial lambs and do all of these different maneuvers to get around it, clearly shows their ability to progress as far as technologically, as far as tactically on the front there. So thank you so much to Bri. Thank you, Geneva. Very much appreciate you, Geneva H, for everything that you do for this channel. Another substantial Venmo. You say, quote, you never disappoint. Spent my 4th trying to calm my dogs. Glad it's over, as they are. Yeah, that's tough. It always is tough. And I've, I'm kind of, I don't know if I'm better suited to be into this conversation or less suited to be into this conversation, because I've been on both sides of this, growing up in a beach town here in South Boston, obviously in the New England area in general. 4th of July is a big thing. Being in a beach town, it's always been a big thing. Fireworks, always been a big thing, but I've also been on the other side of having pets, dogs in particular, that definitely had difficult times. I know there's obviously a wide variety of pets that struggle with loud noises, thunder, and fireworks, gunshots, anything like that. So I'm on both sides of it. Luckily, it's kind of drawn down to one time of the year. Again, it doesn't take away from the stress and the anxiety felt during the night's activities at all. But like I said, I'm kind of been either fortunate or unfortunate to be on both sides of that situation. But Geneva, thank you so much. Hopefully everything's calmed down in your area and everything can get back to normal, and we can do some belly rubs and some cuddles with your fur baby there. So thank you so much again for everything that you've been doing for this channel. It does not go unnoticed. It is very much appreciated, and much like everybody else in the chat that continues to make this show grow and go, you guys are directly responsible. Every single one of you. I told you when we first started that you guys are going to watch this show grow from the beginning, and hopefully to a certain extent you have you've been able to do that. So we can continue to grow with production and our reach as far as who we can talk to, things we can report on. Thank you, Tiff. Much appreciated. I just got those. Thank you. So once we're done with the Venmo, we'll go over there to YouTube, and thank you guys. Thank you so much, Tiff. Sorry for making you have to do all that. I'm going to see if I can find out. Maybe it was an update or a settings thing here on StreamYard, because it used to do it for me. And for some reason it just stopped, and it makes it a pain in the ass. So thank you so much to Tiff. Thank you, Geneva, again. Thank you to Sarah G. Very much appreciated for your contribution. She says, Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava, right back at you, Sarah. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope you had a great 4th, and hope you have a great rest of your weekend as well. Thank you to Nance. Always appreciate you, Nance. Thank you so goddamn much. I still have that money at hand if we need it, or you need supplies for your trip. Well, thank you so much for your contribution. Thank you so much for being involved and stepping up and hoping to contribute, obviously, to our trip to Ukraine, and anything else that the channel needs. But again, it's not all on you, Nance. It's not all on you. I am so grateful to have you as a part of this community, but please don't feel like this all rests upon your shoulders whatsoever. I am super grateful for everything that you've been able to do for this channel. So Nance, we love you. W's in the chat for Nance. Thank you so much to Erica B. Much appreciated. Thanks for your great content. I always enjoy tuning in. I don't know necessarily if you want me to give out since I said the name, but thank you so much to you in the chat there for your $15 contribution. I always feel bad. I never know how much people want to divulge, so I'm going to err on the side of caution. But thank you so much, Erica. Very much appreciated. Just know that I know who you are in the chat there. So much appreciated. Hope you had a great 4th, and hope you have a great rest of your weekend as well. Thank you so much to MR as well. Much appreciated. Said another fantastic show. Story time with Donald was a pièce de résistance. I already forgot that we did that. Jesus Christ. That's going to have to be a clip. And again, you guys can clip the show too. Feel free. There's no copyright. I am not going to scream and yell or take down or strike anybody's channel. If you guys want to, cut out a clip of this, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute. I think you can do up to 3 minutes on Instagram and stuff. Feel free. Have at it. Share it out. If you think there was a funny moment, if you think there was some good information that people could, would be beneficial for them to know, please, by all means, share the show out as much as you possibly can. So very much, MR. I'll see if I can get that out as a clip so you guys can enjoy that without having to sift through the entire live stream. But thank you so much. Thank you, Roger and Karen, as well. Very much appreciate you guys as a team being able to support this channel like you have every single time. Big salute to you guys. Hope you had a wonderful, wonderful 4th. Let's see here. Thank you so much to Allison. Thank you so much to Brian again for your contributions, both $5. Thank you, Allison M. Thank you to Brian H. again. Thank you to Ricky so much. Just checking in, been babysitting. Grandkids have hands have been full. Sending hugs and love to you and my fellow lobsters. Keep doing great things. I appreciate you. P.S. Even when I'm not here, I am always here in spirit. Well, we know that, and we appreciate you. Again, I know you guys have always got things going on in your daily life. I don't stupidly expect you guys to be able to be here chatting the entire time, all the show. So as long as you're listening in the background, as long as you chime in, leave a comment, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Again, I can't fault you for anything. So thank you so much, Ricky. Hopefully the hands are less full now and you can get some time to relax after the old grandkids, have left. But thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for that. Let me see here. Brian said, took weekend off. And at my age, it hits hard. Breath of fresh air after what is listening to mainstream media today. What a bag of liars and propagandists. Well, that's why we started this. That's why we tried to create the alternative to the mainstream media. Again, I understand that there's many options out there for you guys. I'm not, gonna break my arm, patting myself on the back and say that we're the best of the best. But I do believe that we have some definite value and benefit to give to people here as far as insights and things that we talk about. So hopefully one day we can start mixing it up with these big dogs in this space as well. So Bri, thank you so much. Allison, thank you so much for the red, white, and blue hearts as well. Hope you had a great 4th of July. Very much appreciated for everything that you guys do. Let's see here. I think that was it from today. And let's see if we can go over here to Tiff as she's kind of sent in these. I sent the pics, just hasn't gone through yet. Okay, so let me see. I might have to go back myself, unfortunately, because I don't see any pictures. But I do see that Tiff said that there was 11 super chats and 1 anniversary. But unfortunately, I think the last one that I saw was Dame Dog. I think I did see that one, which is a $10 contribution, if I'm not mistaken. But let's see. What are you sending, a fax, Tiff? It's 2026. How does a picture not go through? And of course, I'm kidding. I'm busting your chops. It's my fault anyway. But thank you so much to Damon. Let's see here. I also have Suzanne Daly. Thank you to Suzanne Daly for the 5. Very much appreciated. I saw that one. And hell, I'm over anyway, so I might as well see if I can scroll back. I'll scroll back. You guys can talk amongst yourselves, right? Talk amongst yourselves. We'll see what we can get into here. I've already stayed over this long. Might as well not pop off. Because I hate not thanking you guys. I really do. It irks me not being able to thank every single one of you guys for your contributions. But for some reason, the old StreamYardish doesn't want me to be able to find these things too easily at the end of the show. I'm going to keep scrolling. Something's going to happen. Either Tiff's picture is going to come through first, or I'm going to get carpal tunnel, or I'm going to find all the super chats. I hate this. Why would they make you do this? That was so stupid. It should just be automatic. Yes, show me all the stars. Show me all the ones that should be starred at the end of the show. That way I can thank people. How would that be difficult to understand there, StreamYard? Come on now, Chief. No, all good, Tiff. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's not on your job description anyway. So I feel like I'm overstepping my boundaries. So don't worry about it. It's on me. I see Susan Daly here. So let's see if we can go up from Susan, see if there's anybody. There should be. I mean, like I said, I'm going to have to go through the whole chat. Jesus Christ. My finger's going to fall off. Scrolling. I know you be loving this shit right here. All right, I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. If not, we'll see if we can thank everybody on the next show. We'll see if we can get the picture to go through, and that way we can thank everybody. But I just don't want to dissuade anybody from sending in a super chat, because the whole thing is to have it recognized, congratulated, appreciated, and that's what I enjoy doing. But unfortunately, I think we're going to have to wait till maybe next show. So thank you to the 12 super chats, including Damon. Thank you to the 1 anniversary, as well as Tiff said. And I'll make sure that we are making sure that everybody's sure of what they're sure of. No, I'll be sure to bring these up on the next show to congratulate everybody and thank everybody for what they sent in today. So please, if you sent in a super chat today, make sure you come back on the next show so you guys can get your moment in the sun, your moment in the spotlight where I screwed up today. Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you, Tiff, for attempting to get me into the to the right spot there. Thank you, Wes, much appreciated. Thank you, Batrazi, for everything that you've been doing. Thank you, Jim. Good to see you, Olga. Thank you, DPD. Much appreciated. Thank you, Laurie Graphene. Thank you to, what's that say? Go Accord Go. Much appreciated. Orb Vruma. Thank you to Kelly Dreyer. I see you over there. And who else? Who else? We got Woke Mike. We got Tina. Good to see you. What's up, Bob? Everybody was in here today. All right. Thank you to Yakov. Thank you to Tiff. Thank you to Rox. Thank you to Mark. Thank you to Alyosha. Thank you to Jen. Thank you to anybody that I'm missing. Adam. Thank you to all of the fantastic mods that I, again, have been blessed with. Very much appreciated. And let's see if we can get this NAFO campaign taken care of. We are at 92 goddamn % of the way there. So friggin' close. We can taste it at this point. So much appreciated for everybody trying to get us towards our goal. And no, this is not on anybody's back singularly. You know who I'm talking to, so don't even think about it. But yes, much appreciated to the 157 separate donations, totaling about $21,500 or $600 at this point, which is fucking unbelievable. Much appreciated. So head over to Help 99, Boston, Brian, Summer Drones. I'll be there in person in Kyiv, handing this over. Again, representing our community, representing this crew. The best that I possibly can. So much appreciated. My name is Brian. This is Blunt Politics. And if you guys appreciate what you've seen here, if you find some benefit, some value in this show, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. A lot of people watch and they're not subscribed. At the very least, if you could like and share this out, that would be fantastic. And if you want to give us, a couple other chances before you hit that subscribe button, then that's fine too. Because like I said, I know you got a lot of other choices out there. Some fantastic people in this space that talk about politics. So I just am blessed and so honored to have you guys spend any of your time here with me where you guys could be anywhere else. So much appreciated. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to the Bryantologist. And I will see you guys, what's today? Sunday. I will see you guys Tuesday on the Tuesday show, 2 p.m. here on the East Coast, 11 a.m. on the West Coast. And in case there's something that happens maybe tomorrow that's crazy, there's always the opportunity that we come and give you some breaking news. So hit that notification bell that way in case we do like an unscheduled live, or anytime I put out a short, or anytime I put out a video, it should notify you. So very much appreciated for everything that you're doing. I'm trying to waste more time here because Tiff's in the background saying that it's 94% of the way complete as far as the picture is concerned. So I'm seeing if I could maybe stall a little bit here so I can thank some people now as opposed to next show. So what else can we talk about? Anything else you guys want to shout about? No? Good day? Appreciate it. No, I love you. I appreciate you. Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. Get the fuck out of your seat and into the streets because we are just not pissed off enough in this country, based upon everything that's happening. So thank you. Oh, refresh. All right. Hit the refresh. I thought you were talking about your picture, Tiff. All right. Let's see here. Tiff says hit a refresh. So I'm going to go back to this, hit the old refresh button. Oh, she's right. Absolutely. Every time I hit that refresh button, we do better. Thank you so much, guys. Really, really do appreciate that. Just went up another 2 points. So we're only 6 percentage points away from hitting this goal. I knew we were going to get there. I just didn't think it was going to be this soon and this quick. I am just blown away by your contributions, your generosity, your involvement, your passion for all of these different subjects. So thank you to, again, now the 162 separate donations totaling 19,284 euro. Unfucking believable, guys. Unbelievable. Congratulations. Thank you. Honored, privileged. We still have, obviously, the 6% to go, but I have absolutely no doubt in your capabilities and the fact that we're going to get this done now. So thank you guys so much. Much appreciated. I don't think, I do think, hopefully I can convey just how much this means to the frontline troops. Again, the videos of us being able to hand that over and them being able to, physically show their appreciation and how much it means to them and how much they rely upon these vehicles and these campaigns should go a lot to give you reason as to why these are so important and to show you what you are contributing to. right? So thank you guys so much. I'm going to see you guys later. I'll see you Tuesday on the Tuesday show. Please, like I said, make sure to hit that like button on the way out. If you can leave a comment after the show is posted, there's the live version. And then I think about 15 or 20 minutes after the live is ended, it kind of reposts itself back up there. And that gives you the ability to add a permanent comment on the bottom of that. That would be fantastic if you guys could do that as well. Any way in which you could boost us in the algorithm, I would very much appreciate. So thank you so much to Tiff for keeping me up to speed on the NAFO campaign and the percentage points that we continue to go up there. And thank you guys for just supporting this channel in general. I can't thank you enough and tell you how grateful I am and how much I appreciate you, allowing me to do this and give you guys the news and the insights and, share your time every single day it's an honor. So I appreciate you. I'll see you Tuesday. Hit that like button on the way out. Very much appreciate the mods. Thank you so much to the chat. Thank you to Pops. Let's see if one of these buttons can get me out of here because I think it is one of these. I'm just not sure if it's going to allow me to do it. All right. I'm out of here. Thanks, guys. Yes, Jim. Absolutely. Absolutely. So be checking out for that. Oh, hold on. Good grief. Jim, 100% right. Thank you so much, brother, for reminding me. To everybody signed up at the Patreon at patreon.com/BostonBrian. Make sure you're looking out for that link going out tomorrow for the Zoom tomorrow night. So thank you, Jim, for reminding me of that. Every single Monday, we're going to have Zooms. We do have Zooms for everybody signed up at the Patreon. Again, 3 great tiers on there. Each Monday kind of relates to a different, a different group, a different position on the Patreon. So again, anybody signed up at the Patreon gets access to the Zooms. So thank you, Jim, for reminding me, and I will send that link out tomorrow through the Patreon. We'll see you tomorrow night for everybody joining us. So thank you, Jim. My apologies for, again, always coming back in a second time. It's never going to be possible for me to leave the first time and get everything squared away. I always got to rely upon Jim or somebody else in the chat telling me that I missed something. So, all right, I'm out of here. Salute. My name's Brian. This has been the Blunt Politics Podcast, and this has been the best chat in the fucking world. So thank you, guys. I'm out. Yeah, how about you focus on the road there, Dane? We'll do the chat and you do the driving. Once you get back home to your nice, comfy, lazy boy, that's when you can start typing. You're just worried about getting home. We love you. We appreciate you. You drive safe. Zoom. Can't wait. Very much appreciated. Thank you to everybody signing up to Patreon. And you guys quite literally are the backbone of the community. You help me through all of the toughest times. So many other people in this chat. And again, word appreciation, gratefulness just continues to come to mind for you guys. So much appreciated. Head over to Boston Brian.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
Wes, let's not get too into this, okay? You're starting to speak. I'm already worried about tomorrow night's Zoom. Oh no. Just let's try to behave. No, we appreciate you, Wes. Always keeping it lively. If you were perfect, you would be orange. Yeah. I never claimed to be perfect. I am an imperfect person. I make mistakes. I flub words. I get phrases wrong. I am a human being, but I never claim to be perfect. And that's what separates me from Donald Trump. Thank you, John. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you all tonight.
We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come. God bless the United States.
Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. It's a new form of vicious violation to our country.
Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real?
Proud to officially
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
The big, fat, sloppy